starting on time, even though the clock on the wall says it's 5:28. It is 5:30 where I come from. So we will begin. We have 5 board members here. Dr. Twilder-Jeswin and Board Member De La Torre will not be joining us tonight. And we will start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. And, all right, I'm going to self-nominate. I will lead us in the pledge. And then I'm going to do something a little odd right now, which goes to my Jewish Quaker roots. Back in the day in Philly, when we would have a meeting of any kind or a class, and there was a lot of energy in the room, we would all have a moment of silence. And it was not meant for any purpose other than for us to take a minute, remember why we're here, settle, gather, be present. And I'm kind of feeling that, so I'm just going to ask if we all could just have a moment of silence to begin the meeting. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Which brings us to the approval of the agenda. It is important for us to add right now that on the agenda we will not be under discussion items H, we will not be having the conversation considering revising BP and AR 5117 inter-district attendance. And the reason we are not doing that is due to the passing of Gerald Kelly, who is the father of Dr. Mark Kelly, our assistant soup here at the district. And Mark is not with us tonight. Obviously, he's with his family. And we would just like to let Dr. Kelly know that he and his family are in our thoughts tonight. And we honor the memory of his father. Approval of minutes. We are, no, I did not. I'm now going to report out on closed session. We have one thing to report out on DN 1008-1920. Kindly note that the summary of the settlement is as follows. The district agrees to fund an amount not to exceed $44,000 in educational services, including academic tutoring, occupational therapy, speech and language, and behavior services. The district agrees to reimburse parents for mileage related to transportation to and from these services at the IRS mileage reimbursement rate. The district agrees to pay reasonable attorney's fees in the amount of $8,000. This was moved by Maria Leon Vasquez, seconded by Craig Foster, and was passed 5-0, absent were Dr. Twilder-Jeswin and Board Member De La Torre. That, which brings us to approval of minutes. We have one set of minutes from February 6th, moved by Maria, seconded by Craig. Any comments on the minutes, corrections? All in favor? Opposed? Great, so the minutes have been moved 5-0. Okay, great, which brings us to commendations, recognitions. So I will turn this over to Dr. Drotti.
Thank you. I would like to bring up Dr. Jacqueline Mora to introduce the program.
Good evening. At this point, I would like to introduce Dr. Devon Smith, our Coordinator for Learning and Innovation, who will do the introductions for our celebration this evening.
I'll make it super quick. President Keene and Vice President Lieberman, Dr. Drotti, Dr. Mora, to our unions, Ms. Kennedy. We are here to celebrate career technical education. And we're very excited about our programs, our pathways that we have at the high school. And I want to introduce to you our O-House principal, who will introduce our wonderful teachers who are here and some of the students to share about their experience in the program. This is Lauren Polly Sheehan, O-House principal at SAMO.
Good evening, one and all. Thank you so much for hosting our career technology education teachers and students this evening. we have a short presentation just to give you an overview of what the new career technology education looks like in public schools, and then who better to hear about our fabulous programs than to introduce to you some of our students in our learning pathways, and they're going to share with you their expertise, their experience, and their hopes for their future career aspirations based on all of the skills that they've learned in their career technology education courses. So with that, if we can go to our next slide. Thank you. It's ready to go. Okay. Arts, media, and entertainment is one of our career pathways. That's okay. We're good. And updates. Okay, so with that, I will just jump forward while we are updating. And please, if our career technology education teachers from Santa Monica High School will please stand to be recognized. Awesome. So from our arts, media, and entertainment pathway, we have Mr. Sean Saunders, who is representing our media and graphics department. We have Mr. Martin Ledford, who is representing our photography and marketing department. And we have Ms. Grace Maxwell, who is representing our professional dance program. So thank you for being here this evening. We have a number of students that are going to present to us this evening, if we can get our presentation back going here. But if I can please ask all of our Santa Monica High School students who are representing CTE programs to come on up to the mic. Perfect. So they are going to share with you their name and their program and a little bit about the things that bring them joy within the CTE discipline and their hopes for future engagement as well.
Hello, I'm Jaden Taylor. I'm a senior at Santa Monica High School, and I'm part of the digital design program. And in this class, we design stuff digitally. We create posters and flyers for our school events and anything that we need to promote at our school. I remember last year we designed our own I voted sticker for the midterm elections, and this class has taught me how to. I come from a family where everything has to be like uniform, and this class taught me how to step outside of the box and be creative and use my brain to do different things other than just the black and white stuff and just seeing stuff as it has to be this type of way. It taught me how to use my creativity to catch eyes, and in this program, I've become close friends with some of the people in my classes, and I've become close with my teacher, Mr. Saunders, and he's become somebody that I look up to, and I think it's really crazy because I didn't even know who he was, didn't even know he existed before I was in his class, and I'm really, really happy that I decided to choose this as my elective.
No presentation? Is there a presentation? We have one. Oh, yeah. We're ready. Yeah. Alan's not here, but I'm Henry, and this is Kanan.
Yeah, hi. I'm Kanan. We're seniors at high school, and so, yeah, take it away.
So I am in photography in Mr. Ledford's class, and Kanan's in marketing. So together, me and Kanan put together a website for me showcasing my photography. This is just kind of a snapshot of what it looks like. So with Kanan's help and another marketing student, they've helped me contact brands to shoot for. These are some of the brands that I've shot for so far while in CT and photography. So yeah, here you can see.
Yeah, so basically, me and my partner Alan, who couldn't make it tonight, have become essentially a promotional group known as Oceans Promotions. And basically, what we've learned with the help of Mr. Ledford is how to expand on Henry's brand as a photographer and get him real-world career experience. And so some of the things we've helped him do is we've worked on commerce section to sell prints, and then we've also created leave-behinds, which are essentially business card or flyers that one would leave behind at a gallery so that people know their information. And on that leave behind, there's a QR code which has a direct link to the website that we just displayed. Also, we've contacted local framing stores in order to develop a partnership with them in order for Henry to, get his work framed. And also, we've developed relationships with these businesses in order to, give us good business and allow us to, allow us to display his work. And so basically, we've also used Google Analytics, which is a program that helps Henry understand who's searching for him and who needs photography or who needs other work within that field. And so basically, it allows us to see those metrics and use them in order to help him get his name out there more on the internet.
So this is the contact form that people can use to contact me depending on what needs or inquiries they have for my photography or videography. I think that might be, yeah. And then also I would just like to, on a side note, say that to put it in black and white, I absolutely, with a passion, hate school. And really, honestly, the only reason I come to school is because of photography. It's kind of like an outlet that I have, or a time during school where I can actually do what I want and feel that I'm learning something that will actually benefit me later in life. So it means a lot to me that these classes are an option to people and that they stick around.
Yeah, I'm in a similar situation. I used to be on the basketball team at Santa Monica High School, but I just was having such a struggle to balance time between being an athlete and a student. So I did have to quit the team, but I was lucky enough to find this marketing class to fill my time with, and now I've discovered a passion in that field, and I'm deciding to major in marketing now. So it was a really eye-opening experience for me as well.
Okay, my name is Jasmine Rowland, and I'm representing the dance program at Samuel High with Miss Grace. So what we usually do in this class is, like, our main focus is to improve our dance technique in many areas of, like, in genres of dance. We also focus on incorporating dance showcases every semester, once every semester, and we have different themes. So our theme this year would be a 2020 vision, like heroes of past, present, and the future. We have different levels in our like program. So there's level 1, level 2, and level 3. The class combined. Thank you. So I'm in the level 2 and level 3 combined class, and what we're doing right now is most of the seniors are working on our senior solos. That they're interdisciplinary projects on social justice. Yes, and also like the other students in the class who are juniors and also sophomores are working with the middle schoolers on like teaching them a hip hop routine, and they're also going to be featured in that dance showcase. From this dance program, it's really like helped me express my creativity as much as I could, because I couldn't really express it as much as I could from like any other activity. And I could speak for the other students in the program as well. I really think it's a really good outlet to express like what we want to say through dance, and not like kind of connecting through it. We also connect with each other, so I believe that it's a really great community to be comfortable and express who we are and what we love to do. So yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
All right, did we have a chance to hear from all of our student representatives this evening? I know it was a tight squeeze to get everyone in. Yes, all right. So as you can see, our career technology education courses are really leading to great results for our students, and we continue to grow and expand on the opportunities for our kids. We have recently submitted course approval forms to expand to a third-year program in each of our current industry sectors. And in that third-year capstone program, our students have even more opportunities for real world and real work within their area of study. So thank you for honoring Career Technology Education Month.
And I just want to second that and just thank the board for all of your support. As you see, students are finding connection, expression, and direction, and so many other things in this program. So it's very valuable, and we thank you. Thank you.
right, folks, we are going to move on. Guys, we have a lot of people who would like to be heard tonight, so the more listening we do, the more availability we will have to hear you. I do want to point out for people who have come late, the item that was listed as a discussion item, H1, which was the interdistrict attendance discussion, that item has been moved to March 5th. However, if you are here to make a comment on that, you may still make that comment. We will just be doing it during the general public comment section. Just sharing that information for people who might have come late. Right, it will not be a discussion for the board until March 5th. Now, with that, Superintendent's report. Dr. Drotti.
Yeah, thank you. It was great to hear about the presentation from CTE. I thought the students did an excellent job. Great job to the teachers that are incorporating that form of learning, project-based learning, into for our students. As you can see, their reaction and impact on the level of engagement for our students.
Folks, we're gonna either have to close the doors or make sure people respect the speaker, because I'm sitting next to Dr. Drotti having a hard time hearing him. So either we will close the doors so we can hear people, or just please respect the speaker. Thank you.
So I'm going to talk about several things in the superintendent's report. I'll just start off with first the activities I've been engaged in this last 2 or 3 months, just to try to explain to the entire community about the state of the budget that our district is in context to what the entire state. In that presentation, I titled it, "What's Next for SMMUSD?" And it's so I encourage all of you, if you are affiliated with a school, if you're a staff member, I'm scheduled to either come to your site at a faculty meeting or in a PTA meeting, and the entire schedule for at least the PTA meetings are on the website. Look at it. You can go to any school. It doesn't have to be your school. Go to any school so you can listen to the presentation. But I think it's important to provide context in our journey for the next 2 or 3 years. I titled the presentation SMMUSD Next because it's about using this situation we're in as an opportunity to really reevaluate who we are and what we're trying to accomplish in terms of our students. Our students are about to inherit a very, very complex world, and the whole notion of us being the agents to impact that world is real, and I'm a firm believer in it, and I believe public education can do that for us. We're embarked in a lot of professional learning, a lot of studying about how we can reshape education to that end, and it will allow us to also challenge the struggles from the past about being able to not close the gap in achievement and not really teaching the students that have not really benefited from our current system. So it's an opportunity for us to review everything and lean into the future, and then make the learning more relevant in that way. But we, like any other district in the state of California, we have a budget issue. Okay, so and then in that process, we still have to take care of our staff, look to the future, okay, and then also not be afraid of realigning resources to meet that end. And so please, if you are available to attend any of those meetings, go to it, because this superintendent's report doesn't do it enough justice, because at those presentations you have a better understanding of it. There are many decisions we're going to have to make, and all of them is going to have to touch something that somebody's not happy with. That's just the reality of it. Tonight, although we're not going to have the permit conversation, there are some implications with permit students, interdistrict permit students, that have implications on our budget, because we are what we call a basic aid district. And it's just a start of a conversation, one of many that we're going to have for the next 2 or 3 years, to make sure that we are able to realign the budget to that. So this is really to say that no final decisions are going to be made tonight. We had to postpone it just because one of my chief executives was unable to be here tonight, but he's the person that really helps facilitate and plan and coordinate this presentation. I'd rather have him here for that. But I do want to, because that was an agenda item, there were some things on there that have people confused about why we're having that permit, and I want to make sure we make that clarification. In what was proposed or discussed or suggested, there is nothing that mentioned that any current students were going to be moved out of the district. There's nothing like that. I'm saying that because in social media and all the stuff I'm seeing, people seem to believe that we're going to move students out of the district that are permit students, the current students. That's not, there's nothing in there that exists for that. And then also, it was a second reading and a part of a longer conversation we have to have. Okay, it has implications of other future decisions we have to engage in. This is important that we have these conversations because whether we have it this year, or the next year, or the following year, we will have those conversations in lieu of other conversations we're going to have in terms of the district budget. There's no way around not engaging in that conversation. And as I mentioned, if you go to these presentations, you'll see the rationale why behind it. We're in a challenging time, but at the same time, there's opportunity, and I believe our district has flexibility because of the support of the local community in terms of how many resources they actually give to the district. We have flexibility, but does not negate the fact that we have to do our responsibility in making sure that we are fiscally sound and able to actually turn the lights on and operate. So we'll talk more about that. If there's other things that are on the agenda, I'll touch on in terms of the agreements we have with the union and the teaching staff about the raises that we did give. And in there, we'll also talk about, I'll also present in the beginning of that why I felt that's needed. And then, but in there also, we're going to talk about some decisions we have to make about making sure that we are as efficient as possible with our resources. And we do have to make some decisions about staffing and things like that, and I'll talk more about that prior to that decision. And even in there, there's rumors that there's somehow class sizes are going to be raised. That is not the case at all. Okay, class sizes are codified in contract with the union. The only way that can change is if there's an agreement with the union that class sizes would change as approved. So I want to make sure I also dispel that rumor as well. With that said, I'll move on to another topic here. In a better light, I had a great opportunity. I had a great time meeting and talking with Dr. Eugene Tuckett. I don't know if you all remember who he is, but a previous superintendent of the district from 1986 to 1992. He's now 91 years old, looks strong, is an ox, he's a swimmer, he's a runner, and lives in Playa Vista. But what was supposed to be a 10-minute visit ended up being an hour-and-a-half visit because we got into just the history of this place, and I gained a lot of knowledge. I didn't know he was the one that actually built Malibu High. So he was kind of giving me I had to give him a history of where we are right now. And, and prior to him, there was no Malibu High. It was just Malibu Middle, the elementary school, but he built Malibu High. But at any rate, he came by and wanted to give us a gift. I'm going to show you to you what it is. It's a painting of Samuel High, and he and his wife have just moved into an assisted living location, and he didn't have room to put it anywhere, so he wanted to gift it to the district. As you can see, it's he had it framed, and so we'll find a good place to put it. But that's a picture of Santa Monica High in the '80s, and yeah. But he's a great guy. I told him, look, we have the Alumni Association. We have, if he ever wants to be active with the district, or more or less, even if he wants to just hang out with me sometimes, I would love to just have lunch with him on a daily, a regular basis, just to better understand the district from where he came from. Another bit of news we have is Gary Bradbury. As you all know him, he's our risk management has been here for over 20 years, I believe. He's done a great job in looking at our security systems and our safety systems, but he will be leaving us because he's joining the Conejo Valley Unified School District. Closer towards his home. he's a grandfather. He wants to be close towards the kids, not spending his time on freeways. So, we wish him well. And then lastly, I think that's it for now. I'll come back on and talk more about this agenda items that have to do with staffing, and I'll provide more clarification during that time. And that concludes the superintendent's report.
Great, thanks, Dr. Drotti. As we move on to consent, I just want to reinforce one thing that you said, because we're not having a discussion on the permit issue, but I just want to reiterate what you said, is that students who are currently enrolled in our schools on permits will continue to be enrolled in our schools on permits. I want to make sure everybody heard what Dr. Drotti said. We will have the discussion March 5th, because like you said, it's part of a bigger discussion. I just want to make sure people heard that. We move to consent. I have one thing to read before we approve consent, which shouldn't change anything. For item number 1, small 1, it has been updated now to include the name of the Sustainability Coordinator Independent Contractor. It had been published with a TBD. Austin Toyama has accepted the position and will complete the contract through June 30th. Mr. Toyama was selected out of 5 applicants. He has a BS in Environmental Sciences, professional experience in environmental consulting and construction project management, and a passion for solving sustainability issues. So, Mr. Toyama, welcome to the district, assuming that we go through consent. On that note, do we have a motion to move consent? Moved by Craig, second by Lori. Do we have anything on consent that needs to be addressed or pulled? Or wow, wonderful. So we'll do a roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. So Ms. Afshar,
Yes.
Ms. Wachtel,
Yes.
Mr. Metcher,
Yes.
Ms. Leon Vasquez,
Yes.
Mr. Foster,
Yes.
Ms. Lieberman.
Yes.
And I am a yes. So that is 2 advisories and 5 yeses with 2 board members not here. That moves consent. No problem. And we do not have any study sessions. We do not have a discussion item, as I informed people. Moves to major action items. Appointment of Personnel Commissioner Philip Tate. I'm going to look to somebody to take this issue. Who is Josh here? Josh, are you here?
I would like to bring up Mr. Josh Kahn.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Good evening. Unfortunately, Commissioner Julie Waterstone is not seeking reappointment. So at the beginning of the year, we held a recruitment for Personnel Commissioner. And on February 5th, we had a selection panel that consisted of representatives from the PTA, from the district administration, from the union, and the Personnel Commission. And that panel came to a unanimous recommendation to have Mr. Philip Tate serve as our new Personnel Commissioner. Mr. Tate is an attorney by trade, but he also has experience serving on a number of boards, including LA Goes Pink, Hill and Dale Family Learning Center, Cal State Dominguez Hills Philanthropic Board, as well as the City of Santa Monica. And in addition to these contributions, he also is a parent of a student at Grant Elementary. And so, yeah, we're very much looking forward to working with Mr. Tate.
Great, thank you so much, Josh.
you.
Appreciate that. Which brings us to public disclosure of proposed collective bargaining agreement. I'm so sorry. So we have to vote for Mr. Tate. Do I have a motion to approve Mr. Tate as a Personnel Commissioner? So moved by Board Member Foster, second by Board Member Metcher. Ms. Afshar?
Yes.
Ms. Wachtel?
Yes.
Mr. Metcher?
Yes.
Ms. Leon Vasquez?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. Lieberman?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That is unanimous for Mr. Tate. Congratulations. Thank you for your service to the district, which now brings us to public disclosure of proposed collective bargaining agreement.
Great. So I'll bring up Mrs. Melody Kennedy to talk about this in a little bit, but this is just essentially an approval. You know that we have an agreement with the 2 units, SEIU and CTA, regarding the raise, and this is more or less public disclosure of the facts, of the numbers, and costs to the district. So Melody Kennedy, I'll have you take over.
Good evening, Board.
This is routine and something that is required by the state of California is to make sure that we continue to stay solvent as we possibly can when giving any kind of a COLA raise, especially when it comes to I apologize, when it comes to our union membership. So with this, it is in the general fund, unrestricted, we will be expending $2,881,650 on all salary increases that is for both certificated CTA and for classified SEIU unit members. With that, we also have a restricted piece that needs to be reported as well at $907,688 to our restricted programs such as our adult ed and child development and other restricted such as food services and other programs such as that, giving us a total of $3,789,358 as a total of the salary increases. I will entertain any kind of a question that you might have.
If there aren't any questions, Dr. Drotti has a comment. Are there any questions from the board? Dr. Drotti?
So, as I mentioned, I'm going around to the community explaining the state of the budget. And in there, I actually talk about why I recommended a raise to the staff. And since some people have not seen it, I believe we can do both. We can address the budget issues and give this raise because there are some complications we have in order to retain our staff and just the cost of living in Los Angeles and so many things that we believe that it's necessary to retain and attract the staff that we need to do the job we need done. So.
Okay, so is there a motion to accept the AB 1200? Motion by Ralph, second by Maria. Roll call vote. Ms. Afshar? Ms. Wachtel?
Yes.
Mr. Metcher?
Yes.
Ms. Leon Vasquez?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. Lieberman?
Yes.
And I am a yes. That is unanimous for the AB 1200, which brings us now to agreement between the Santa Monica Malibu Classroom Teachers Association and Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District.
So the next two items you'll see are just other routine things that we have to make sure we put forward regarding the raise. And it's an agreement we have with both the one you're looking at right now is with the CTA, and then the following one will be with SEIU. So if there's any other further questions, I'll entertain questions or we can go straight to a vote.
Are there any questions from the board? Moved by Maria, seconded by, I think Lori raised her hand imperceptibly. So, roll call vote. Ms. Afshar?
Yes.
Ms. Wachtel?
Yes.
Mr. Metcher?
Yes.
Ms. Leon Vasquez?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. Lieberman?
Yes.
And I am a yes, so that is unanimously approved. And now we have the agreement between SEIU and SMMUSD.
Yes. If there's any other questions, just go.
Do we have
Request a
questions on the
vote.
agreement as submitted? So I will look for someone to move this. Thank you, Maria. Second. Craig? Ms. Afshar?
Yes.
Ms. Wachtel?
Yes.
Mr. Metcher?
Yes.
Ms. Leon Vasquez?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. Lieberman?
Yes.
And I am a yes, that is also unanimous. Number 5, non-represented employees compensation agreement.
And these are the rest of the staff that is not associated with SEIU or CTA. So that's agreement with them.
Questions? Motion. Craig and then Maria. Ms. Afshar?
Yes.
Ms. Wachtel?
Yes.
Mr. Metcher?
Yes.
Ms. Leon Vasquez?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. Lieberman?
Yes.
And I am also a yes, so that is approved. Item 6, adopt resolution number 1922, reduction or discontinuance of particular kinds of services with direction to notify affected employees or recommendation of layoff. Dr. Drotti.
So this resolution is the reduction of discontinuance or particular kinds of services. This is more like in the face of us not having what we normally would have is retirements, resignations, and things that we would normally have because of the decision we made last year with the a retirement incentive. We need this action in order to give us the flexibility to align our resources to what we need in terms of staffing. So this action gives us that flexibility. There's two different groups of people you will see, positions you will see there. Ones that are directly aligned to where we think we're over in staffing, and there's one group which is the literacy coaches. We changed the job description to a different to instructional coaches, and by law you have to discontinue the literacy coaches to open up the instructional coaches. So those people in the literacy coaches can apply to if they're interested in those jobs. But the rest of them doesn't mean that we're going to raise class size or anything like that. It just means we need to align our staffing to where needs are. Right now we're off in there, and this gives us that flexibility.
Wonderful. Okay, so we have time for clarifying questions from the board. If not, we'll go to public comment for this item. Any clarifying questions? I do want to point out as we go to public comment, I know we have people who are here to address a particular teacher, Mr. Munn, who's a teacher at Sam Ohio, also a wrestling coach. He is not technically under this category. So those of you who want to speak to us about Mr. Munn, we have those cards, but they will come up during general public comment because he's not under this category. I just wanted to share that as it came up. So we will now go to Vice President Lieberman.
So we have 4 speakers on this item, so each of you will have 3 minutes to address the board on this particular item. First speaker is Sarah Braff, followed by Emily Arms, and then Zena Josephs.
Thank you. As you know, this is a difficult time for us economically, but it is also a very difficult time for us emotionally. Our teachers give their all every day, as do our counselors. Whether they're PE teachers or English teachers or social studies teachers, they give their all. It is very hard to hear the number of people that are, 45 is a big number. And while I know some of them will come back, I don't know that all of them will come back. And since we don't know the specificity yet of where exactly those cuts are going to be made, and we don't have the specific information on that, just the general categories, it is very hard for us to evaluate whether we agree or disagree with the realignment. So it just puts us in a very difficult position. Also, the explanation under the whereas, under that list of numbers, didn't seem accurate because it was not talking about reduction in students, but it said it was about that paragraph right under the box. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me right this second. I don't know that that's an accurate representation of what we're doing, and so I would like that to be re-looked at and perhaps edited somewhat so that it's a little clearer what that means in terms of the reasoning. I mean, yes, we know the pot of money is gone. I get that. That's not the question. But of course, we always want to keep our cuts as far away as possible from the classroom, and I know that that's your intent as well. But when we don't have all the information, we only have part of the information, it's very hard for us to evaluate. So we would like to be given that time and that information so that we could really be responsive in a very responsible way. Thank you.
On Emily Arms. Hi.
Board and visitors. Hi, good evening. We moved here 13 years ago for the high quality education here in Santa Monica. We had a kindergartner starting at Grant, and in first grade, she had need for the literacy coach. Because of the early warning of her first grade teacher and being referred out to her literacy coach, we avoided a lot of heartache down the line of a child who was affected with mild dyslexia. I would ask you to reconsider eliminating 10 literacy coaches. Many of you know that I'm a professor of English at Santa Monica College, and every day I see the results of children who were not caught early, who show up in 13th grade, first year of Santa Monica College, and they were never diagnosed, never pulled out in a reading program, never met one-on-one with a literacy coach, and it breaks my heart, and I feel so proud that we have a district that catches these literacy problems early. So I would implore the board and Dr. Drawdy to reconsider the literacy coaches. If you don't catch these disabilities early, many of us know what they look like down the line. They look like students who hate school, who don't want to be there because it's just too hard, and they don't know why. Please reconsider eliminating literacy coaches at the elementary school level. Thank you.
Next speaker is Zena Josephs, followed by Sarah Barrett, and then Sarah Rodriguez. Well, is Sarah Barrett or Sarah Rodriguez? We can have you first. Sure.
Hi there. Good evening. My name is Sarah Barrett, and I moved here 3 years ago from LAUSD to come to Santa Monica to send my children to middle school and high school. I was lucky enough, I was a classroom teacher, and so I got a position working at Roosevelt Elementary School as an instructional aide. By being an instructional aide, one of my duties was to work with the literacy coach and work with the students on helping them with their literacy, to get them to have a love of learning, to love reading. And that really helped, and the idea that that is going to be cut is devastating to me, to students who I know need it, and I'm asking you to please reconsider cutting the literacy program, because those people are making a huge difference in our elementary schools, and making these cuts and cutting teachers is the last place we should be going to make any cuts. I work with fundraising, I wrote a book, I want to help. I've emailed, asking for the PowerPoint presentation, asking for the budget, to see if I can actually make a difference and help. And I've gotten no response, and it's very disappointing and very frustrating. So I urge you to show some transparency, allow parents to get involved in helping to make things better and fix the situation, rather than making this a last-minute item to come up where parents are getting last-minute information. Thank you.
I just want to say before we continue this, I know these items that people have come here to speak on are very emotional and they mean a lot to people, and we appreciate and want to hear from all of you. But one of our practices here is to ask you to please not to refrain from clapping, because people may have different points of view. They might want to express them. We don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, no matter what their point of view. And we want you all to feel like you can express what you came here for. So if you really feel a need and you want to express support, we are okay with you silently doing that, but we really ask that you just respect everyone who's come, and that's our practice every board meeting. So to continue, Zena Josephs and Sarah Rodriguez.
Is it 2 minutes or 3?
3.
Oh, good, okay. Regarding the proposed reduction of 1 FTE in the secondary visual arts, I'm not sure whether Olympic or Samo High would be affected. According to our VAPA DAC mid-year report, while overall enrollment at Samo High decreased from 2015 to 2019, enrollment in visual arts classes actually increased from 770 to 872. So it seems illogical to reduce Samo High visual arts staffing when enrollment is growing. Meanwhile, at Olympic High, dance and music construction have been cut. Out of a total enrollment of 48 students this year, 36 are enrolled in art instruction of such high quality that an Olympic High student won a Kiwanis scholarship at the district-wide art show last year. If you eliminate this outstanding art teacher, the only remaining VAPA class at Olympic High will be Intro to Theater Arts. So much for equitable access to visual and performing arts instruction. Secondly, regarding the proposed reduction of 10 FTE elementary and middle school teachers, if one of those is an elementary music teacher, here's the history. Following the passage of Prop 13 in 1978, the only VAPA program in the elementary schools was instrumental music with a pull-out schedule. Classroom teachers hated pull-out because small numbers of students were coming and going all day long, missing out on reading and math instruction, and only about 550 students district-wide were participating in 1997 when the DAC began. VAPA coordinator Tom Whaley instituted the current block schedule, where several music teachers go together to each elementary school. This allows all fourth graders to have choir, band, or orchestra instruction at the same time and frees up their classroom teachers for common planning time in order to collaborate on meeting students' needs. Same thing for fifth grade. So this year, all third, fourth, and fifth grade students are receiving instruction from credentialed music teachers who also teach band and choir at Smash Middle School, and they are also responsible for the new mariachi program. Your elementary music program is considered a model program in California. It's the foundation of the entire district music program, and it's one of the reasons that groups from JAMS, Lincoln, and Samo High have been repeatedly invited to perform at state and national music conferences. In addition, your district has been named a, quote, best community for music education for the past 18 years by NAM for its efforts to assure access to music for all students as part of a well-rounded education. So I ask you, please don't cut something that your school district does so well. Thank you.
Thank you, Zena. And the last speaker on this item is, again, Sarah Rodriguez.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Rodriguez, and I stand to oppose the board resolution to lay off 45 teachers and literacy coaches across the district. As a Santa Monica High School English teacher, I know that these proposed layoffs do not put the interests of students first. Class sizes for many of us at Santa Monica High are already at the cap of 35. Sometimes they're higher. Most of us teach 5 classes. That means many of us serve 150 students every day. Challenging, supporting, caring for, preparing for 150 students a day, sometimes more. So we know that maxing out secondary class sizes at the contractual cap will hurt personalization and undermine equity. The district has invested a lot in its new project-based learning campus, where there are currently less than 50 students and 4 teachers. I spent 8 years teaching humanities at a high-tech high media arts in San Diego. So I know as well as you that personalization is a key pedagogical principle of project-based learning. That's why at High Tech High, class sizes are capped at 25. And that's not a union contract. That's about the principles of good teaching and learning. If personalization is good for the PBL students of Santa Monica Unified, which I believe it is, then it's good for the 99% of Santa Monica students who also deserve a 21st century education. We may never get to 25, but laying off teachers and maxing out our class sizes instead of redistributing the students and teachers we have is illogical and inequitable. We may not currently be at cap in every class on every campus, but we are stretched thin. While there may be smaller classes here or there, our students need us, all of us. Teachers support students in innumerable ways, advising clubs, holding office hours, meeting not only students' academic needs, but also many times their emotional and personal needs. There may be justifications for shifting resources, by all means, but let us make sure that the existing student needs are being fully met first. Let's not cut the most important resources we have for meeting our students' needs, teachers. These layoffs are about the business of schooling, not the heart and hard work of education. When we push our class sizes to the limits because we're desperate to shrink a deficit, we are not serving students and families, we're serving a bottom line. I urge you to vote against these layoffs. I ask you to put our sacred obligation to the young people we serve first. Please don't vote to take teachers and literacy coaches away from our students. no cuts to classrooms. If there are unjustifiably small classes somewhere in this district, please redistribute the teachers to schools and departments that need them, because we do need them. Please find another way. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, all speakers.
Okay, so, questions, clarifying questions? Well, we already did clarifying questions. Comments? Any comments? Yes.
Yeah, I guess I want to make a comment and ask a couple of questions for Dr. Drotti or Dr. Mora or whoever wants to address this. I mean, first, I just want to say on behalf of all of us, I think I'm saying this. This is a preliminary legal requirement that we have to adopt in order to move ahead to even consider making any reductions in certificated staff. And so, in theory, this really doesn't constitute a pink slip to anybody yet. That actually is later. And it's something that we have to do because even though as one of our speakers said very eloquently, this serves the bottom line. The problem is we can't pay our teachers and we can't pay anybody if we don't look at the bottom line. We're not making a profit from this. We have to run a school district. And so it pains us, I think, as much as it pains all of you to have to do this. And we don't want to give up quality. We don't want to affect the high quality that we have in all of our programs. So we're going to look as carefully as we can at all of these and at what our options are and what we can do. And so I wanted to ask Dr. Drotti in that context to maybe speak to one of the items that I think is most disconcerting because of the way it is laid out, discontinue literacy coaching services. And have you explain what that entails?
Yeah, I guess I'll repeat what I said earlier. The job classification, those people, is that job description that's being discontinued. We're changing the job description to instructional coach, from literacy coach to instructional coach. By law, in order to change that job description of those people, you have to discontinue the previous one. If you remember, the primary reason for this is in our system, we struggle in math, we struggle in science. We're trying to implement a more of a structural approach that is more integrated in terms of project-based learning. And the purpose of the instructional coach, literacy coach initially, was to help develop curriculum and to help coach teachers, and that's why they call it literacy coaches. It's coaching for staff, not necessarily support for students, but that's a primary role of the literacy coach. And then secondary is to support students along the way. We're saying we need people that are equipped to be able to support in different areas, just not only in literacy, and areas that we don't have support in as well. So that is, I think it's a good move to support all of our students. I think the areas we struggle most in, we don't have support in. And so we will have 11.5 instructional coaches this particular year, the upcoming year, but it won't be literacy coaches. The literacy coaches will have to apply for those positions. Some probably just don't want to do other instruction, learn other instruction pedagogy. Some might just want to be literacy coaches, so they would have to make a decision on that. But we're not taking away those job descriptions. In the future, when we are having the 2 or 3 year conversations where we discuss our entire system, we have to have a conversation around what we're going to have and not have. We cannot, as we are now, we cannot afford it. We cannot afford how we are right now. We'll be bankrupt in 3 years. So whether it's this or whether it is the permit students, whether it is all the other things that we're going to be reviewing, which is a huge list, that's going to be one of them. So I won't stand here that the following year that we don't talk about how the size of the different programs, because we have other conversations to have. But for this particular purpose, it is switching from literacy coach to instructional coach, something that we desperately need.
So can I just clarify? So I think you're saying that we are not doing away with literacy coaching per se.
Yes.
We are rewriting the job descriptions, collapsing them maybe into instructional coaches, or with the what is now considered an instructional coach, and we don't see instructional coaches on this list.
Because we're not discontinuing that. That's at another meeting where we'll bring
Okay,
that forward.
but I was trying to clarify for me and for others, I think, because I think when you see discontinue literacy coaching services, it is a little disconcerting. Yes.
So I would like to add to what Dr. Drotti mentioned. The intention for us, and we've engaged in dialogue and conversation with our literacy coach team. The intention is for us to expand the scope of the work, build on their capacity, and on the foundational work that's been done around literacy and the development and support of their coaching skill set. So really now looking at how are we expanding that to encompass math, because we know that that's an area of need that has been identified. Also, how are we supporting and building their capacity around the areas of science and history, social science, and really looking at literacy as the entry point, because we know that through the ELA and ELD framework, literacy is across all content areas. So building from that foundational work and providing professional development around the other content areas, and specifically identifying high leverage strategies that they can support and coach into regardless of the content that is being taught, so that our students and our teachers are having an environment that really builds on their sense of self-efficacy to be able to continue and deepen their practice. So I really want us to walk away knowing that it is about expanding the scope of the work and creating a new job description so that we can formalize that work and build on what's been taking place historically and this year in building capacity.
And the role of the literacy coaches, the previous job description of that person, at some points, whether they're working with the teachers on literacy or instruction, or whether they're diverted at some point to support students, that's still going to exist. So that's not being removed. It's just maybe now they also work on math, science, social science, and other disciplines. So like I said, this is the start of more conversations. I don't want to be lost in the fact that we have to reshape how we look in the next 2 or 3 years. Okay, we have to reshape that to be able to afford it. And there's a lot of decisions we got to make. There's several people here about some items that are here representing items. They're saying no to this, no to that, no to that. I don't think there's ever going to be anything I bring to this table, to the board, that this place isn't going to be full of, because somebody's going to have something to say about it. So that's the unfortunate part about it. I guarantee you every superintendent is going through the same situation right now. It's just something we have to really look at it. I'm doing my best to involve the community in these conversations. We have a committee that's engaged in these conversations. I'm going out to the community, do my best to explain to people the situation we're in, but we have to make some tough decisions in the next 2 or 3 years here.
Are there any more comments or questions?
I just want to ask one more thing. If you could maybe either address this next time or even in our Friday packets, the questions about the visual and performing arts teachers. I think that Zena also sent this in an email, and I can't possibly articulate the point she's making, but I'd just like to know about the numbers and how they play out and have that issue addressed.
Absolutely. Just as with that, we're not increasing any class size or anything with that. So we'll definitely provide you with that information.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Wachtel.
In terms of maxing out class sizes, was that, if it's not within the visual arts teachers, is that just high school, or is that?
Elementary to I'll let you speak to that. Elementary to high school, I believe it is.
We have max for every single grade span. So there are numbers that we have to make sure that we're honoring contractually around the number of students that are in our elementary classrooms, primary classrooms versus upper grade classrooms, and then at our middle and high. So there are numbers that we have to honor as per the contract. So that is the case for all grade levels.
Comment? Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Because I still am not sure it's the clarity of where we are is out there. And you know, what the superintendent was talking about is sort of more long-range discussions about how to realign our financial resources with how we run the district. The intention is to continue basically all the programs we have, particularly in this short term, while the superintendent's advisory group is meeting over the next year, 2 years, and then bringing recommendations to the board as necessary or as desired to discuss making any kind of change, really, that they feel is appropriate to make for us to meet our goals in educating our students. And a lot of this, as I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is really what we do every year, which is we're looking at our enrollment numbers, which are projections, and then making decisions, about what the allocations are per site for teachers. So a lot of this, is related to that, and the expectations are that there's been some declining enrollment, and to keep within the staffing numbers that are in the contract. That, unfortunately, for better or worse, there are some positions, that may have to be ended because we're in a financial crisis. Now, I know some people are writing us and saying because people can believe that there's mismanagement. We work hard. We know that a large portion of this is, ironically, because changing from being a state aid district where we're getting money for the students that are in our school and becoming basic aid, where the money is the money that we have, which in a sense is larger than would get from the state, but we have we're sort of left out in the open without reserves, and economic winds can radically change the funds that we would have from year to year. So a lot of it is being prudent and cautious in how to keep the district as whole as we can. And the egregious mismanagement really came from LACO when they figured out or realized, and they have yet to give us figures almost 2 years later, and we've asked them many times in person, that they took in one fell swoop $9 million from us. That's $9 million we had spent the year before last, and it was $9 million that had been budgeted moving forward, that was no longer there for us to use. So we've been, if we have been put in a situation over a longer period of time, where the money may have been reduced over a period of time, which is how they're supposed to reduce money, the so-called soft landing. They basically just, took the money, which if it was theirs to take and give out to the other districts in the county, that's fine. But they did it, they just went in and grabbed it out of our accounts and left us having to make up for that and to make up for it moving forward. So I think the superintendent and staff and the board are trying to the best of our abilities to overcome that situation, and knowing that there aren't increases in funding that are going to come, as came over the last 10 years as we came out of the recession and the state's coffers filled up and we were getting additional monies every year. Those days, are over for as far as we know it. So we can't expect that, come an audit in September, there's going to be the extra $1 million or $2 million or $3 million that we were typically seeing. So we just have to use the forecasting that we're given, and unfortunately, if we spend the way we have been spending, as Dr. Dry said, we'll be bankrupt, but what that really means is that LACO or the state has the right to come in and take over the district and run it and make the changes that they feel are appropriate changes. That's not what we want, and I'm sure that that's not what you want either. So as tough as this is, you know, we're really trying to figure out the best way with the least impact on our students and, of course, the least impact on all of you. So work with us, stay in touch. We're all available, to talk about it and keep talking about it. Thank you.
Let me just make another comment. I guess in agreement with what Ralph was saying, I've been here the longest, and I know that for the first time since Dr. Drawdy came on board, and we had Melody coming on board, and Dr. Mora coming on board, that I think we're being a lot more thoughtful in terms of how we're making kind of modifications on the budget and programming. In past years, all they would do, we would get a list, and we're going to cut. These are the lists of maybe 4 or 5, maybe 10 things areas of the budget that we were going to cut without any really justification for the reason or why. But this time, I think we're being a lot more thoughtful in terms of, if you all recall last year, when with the help of Dr. Drawdy and Board Member Foster, we went through the whole process of closing one of our, well, we combined. We reduced one of our elementaries into 3 into 2. So there was a reduction of one of our elementary schools, saving us about $1 million or $2 million in that respect. But it was made with the support of parents and families in Malibu, and understanding the need for us to move forward. So in that respect, like I will reiterate with what Board Member Ralph Metcher said, that please work with us. I mean, there's a lot more coming around. I know that Dr. Drawdy has set up a committee that we're going to be looking into specific things in terms of how we're going to look forward in maximizing, I think, the potential that we have. We understand, I mean, we've always supported the teachers. I don't think there's been ever a time when we haven't supported teachers in this district, not in the 20 years I've been here. And unfortunately, I was there. I think I was the president of the board when we made like 200 or 300 people reductions at that time, because our budget was in crisis. I don't think we're there yet, but I think we need to look at it more deliberate in terms of how we're going to make modifications. I'm not even saying cuts, or just modifications in how we're moving forward with developing and further strengthening our school district to be a 21st century school district. So this is really important for us. I think that's why we have, like Dr. Mora was mentioning on the literacy coaches, that we're expanding their scope. So we're repurposing those positions. I learned that word because that's what it is. We're broadening the scope so that we were able to with one fall swoop, be able to support our students that are not just only falling behind in reading, but maybe in math and science. And for us, I know we've had a big issue in this district with math, and that's for all students across the board. So I think we're trying to be, like I said, more deliberate as much as we can to make sure we're continuing to support our children. But we have to take these steps right now just to give us that little bit of a time span to be able to make final decisions by the time we approve our budget in June. So, thank you.
Sir?
Sure, why not? So, and there's a few points that I want to follow up on there. One of which is that it is our intention and our commitment that these decisions, which are driven by finances that are out of our control, and one thing that hasn't been mentioned, but I'm sure you all know, is California falls in the 40s on a scale of 1 to 50 in terms of state funding of public schools. So we start from a disadvantage. Our communities have been fantastic in creating additional funds for us, which have funded programs that schools around us don't have. But nevertheless, even at the level we're funded, we're still funded in the high 30s in the nation in terms of revenues per child. So this, in a normal situation and in the budget cuts that I've seen in this school district and others, it's typically a very sort of, not arbitrary, but it can be very, okay, everybody cuts 5% or something. And that's really not the way to serve our kids. So we're all committed, the superintendent is committed to finding savings by focusing on the most important things we're doing. And we're in the middle of moving the district toward a 21st century focus anyway, classrooms of relevance in engagement for the kids, teamwork, collaborative learning, real world experiences, cross-curricular learning. So we're already in the process of moving the district along. There's no question in my mind, at least, that over the years we have added a lot of programs to solve problems, and those programs often run alongside each other looking to solve the same problems and creating redundancies or certainly overlaps, and frequently those overlaps or redundancies actually turn into time sinks because now you're trying to manage between a bunch of people who are trying to do the same thing, so that sometimes the number of people you throw at a problem can actually make the problem harder to solve. So this is going to be a thoughtful, strategic process. The stuff you're seeing today is the least thoughtful and least strategic because it's the shortest timeline. There are certain decisions that need to be made fast to give us the room to do the rest of it. The superintendent's created a 44-person committee consisting of teachers, parents from PTA, site council, et cetera, community members, people to discuss all of the various areas that we've raised as places where we can cut, where we can transform. I don't think
we're cutting on the electric bill tonight.
Places where we can redirect resources and be more efficient, and that committee and this needs to work. There's a lot of people here tonight to talk about a permit policy that was in the packet today. It's the second read of something we're talking about. So the last thing I want to say, we're trying our very best to be smart and strategic and to serve the kids as best we can, as much as possible, shifting and consolidating and better utilizing resources in the name of better education for all our kids, while at the same time we are working on being in full communication with our community and thinking this through. Because of the Brown Act, and I think it's a good thing, we have to have these conversations, here it goes again, on this stage. We have to do this in public. So you're going to see things that come forward that may alarm you, they may alarm us. We need to work through this in public. So I'm not saying don't come. Please, if you're alarmed, please come. Please share your fears. Please share your vision. Better still, please share your ideas for how we can do it better. But know that if something's on the agenda, it's there because we have to discuss things in public. So imagine in your home, if you had to have every conversation in public. It's awkward, right? But that's our obligation, and it's good government. So that's another thing I would ask you all to understand as we go forward with this, that there will be things that are alarming, and there's none of this is pleasant, but the goal is to get to a good place where we can all say under the circumstances we did it smart and we did it right.
Great. I will edit myself as a favor to all of you and all of you. So we have a motion by Craig. Do we have a second? Second by Lori. I was informed by Ms. Warrenbrock that I am not supposed to ask our student board members to give their advisory vote on personnel issues, so I'm not ignoring you. I've just been corrected. Okay? So, Mr. Metcher?
Yes.
Ms. Leon Vasquez?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. Lieberman?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Which brings us to item number 7, which is determination of seniority among certificated employees with the same seniority date.
This is a part of the whole conversation as in the future, and as we start talking about layoffs and things like that, there are some regulations in place for the board to consider, and this is one of those that it provides us the roadmap to how we consider who's a senior, who has seniority status, who doesn't. So so it's essentially for you guys to vote on.
Are there any questions on this one? So I will look for a motion from Maria, seconded by Ralph. Mr. Metcher? Yes. Ms. Ms. Land Vasquez.
Yes.
Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Ms. Lieberman.
Yes.
And I'm a yes, that is unanimous, which brings us to item 8, adopt resolution 1924 regarding competency standards and skipping criteria for certificated employees. Dr. Drotti.
Yes, obviously we have particular interest in certain staff that have training in particular areas such as Spanish immersion and other programs. So this what you see here gives us guidance on the securing some of those positions against the seniority status. So it's just another way of looking at how we can maneuver anytime there's a competition between two staff members and one is senior over another. This gives us other considerations as we make our decisions.
Comments, questions, motion? Oh, question. Is that a question? Yes,
Yeah,
Ms. Martell. Ms.
sorry, go
Martell, then
ahead.
Mr. Metcher. Yeah, how do you know? I know that you know that we value everything that you have to say, and we value what Ms. Afshar has to say. We are also bound by Ed Code and state law and state code. So it's not that I don't want you to have a say in what's being said in this case, which is an advisory vote. I just have been told that the code tells us that it is not appropriate to do that. Now, if we want to go to Sacramento and change code, I'm all for that. Because as you can see, I went through 5 of the first things without realizing that I was making a mistake. So that's on me. So if we'd like to do that, I am happy to go do that with you.
I would love to. Thank you.
Okay, so let's take it to Sacramento. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And also, Mia and Kimia, as I considered establishing a budget, superintendent budget advisory committee, you two and and Ashley were the first people that I wanted to make sure that they were secure there too, because I wanted to have the student voice there. Not too many. The committees I've seen around that superintendents have, but a lot of times do not involve. So I'm very secure. So your voice in those meetings are important. And so as we move forward, you're going to get a chance to see the myriad of things that we are considering for you to weigh in on, because there's going to be a lot more of these conversations coming. And for us right now, there isn't any. What you see before you today isn't fundamentally changing. It's a normal course of action. It's so much in the past, we've always had attrition and different things that took place that allowed us to not even have this conversation. Normally, I would have a bunch of retirees and a bunch of different people. I would just say, okay, I escaped that one because people retired or people did. But the point is, we retired over 80 to 90 people last year. That's going to leave us in about 2 or 3 year drought of people that would normally retire. So there's no way we're going to not have these conversations in future years, just because we're not getting the influx of people that are retiring and so on.
The thing is, it's not even about like whether or not that Kimmy and I are able to speak on the matter. It's more about, like, even as is at my school, and I consider myself to be very academic, I don't feel that I have the support that I need even from teachers, because a lot of the teachers I personally feel are there on the basis of tenure and not on the basis of their ability to help students and to foster their learning. And I think it's very, very difficult to hear that these decisions are being made by adults, and it seems like it's for adults and not us.
Please.
And I apologize if that's blunt and direct, but that's how I feel.
This is why you are a part of that committee. I think what you actually said here will be essential when we have those conversations with the committee, because there will be things there that are adult-centered versus student-centered. And at that point, I will hope you actually speak up in in that vein as well. So I appreciate you speaking up.
And just to speak of SAMO real quickly, when I was on site governance at SAMO, when Dr. Shelton came in, SAMO used to have, 2 or 3 elected students to be part of site governance. Dr. Shelton said whoever wants to be on as a student is on, to get as many student voices as possible. So I hear you, and I agree with so much of what you say, and I hear your passion about it, but there are people that are trying, and you guys showing up is a big part of that, and you guys being a part of the committee is a big part of that. And having student board members that we value is a big part of that. And an advisory vote on an item should not lessen that impact and how we feel. So I just wanted to share that as well. Mr. Metcher.
Okay, now I'll say a couple things.
Yeah, follow that, Ralph.
Well, just on that, I'm happy to, so when Senator Allen, who's a SEMO, our state senator, was on this board, he actually, resurrected having student reps here and made sure, that it became more robust. So I'm happy to set something up where we can talk to him, and he certainly will advocate for more power for student reps in decision making. The thing I wanted to ask before we take this vote, so we've talked about, really more for the superintendent, we've talked about, this is specifically related to certificated personnel. And we have, our service workers and our administration. So I think as we continue this conversation, when this comes back in 2 weeks, because I think it has to, hopefully we can have some information, because this, I think, this is not in the context of decisions we are contemplating making in those areas as well.
Yes.
I think it would be very helpful for the people here in the community to understand how this fits into that larger piece.
Absolutely.
Because I know they go through a different process than this process.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so we still need to move and second this item. So is there a motion from Maria? Second? Ralph? Mr. Metcher?
Yes.
Ms. Land Vasquez?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. Lieberman?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That is unanimous again, which brings us, we have 2 information items on the agenda for board to look at, or anybody in the public who wants to look at it. And now it brings us to general public comment. Before we get into general public comment, I would like to say this is now the last chance to turn in a speaking chit. If you would like to speak, if you have not turned one in yet, now is the time to do so. Seeing no more, I will then say that anybody who turns in a chit after this point will have a reduced amount of time to speak. And I also encourage everybody here who's with us. This is a really emotional meeting for many of us, and I urge all of us to try to follow the rules of decorum that Ms. Lieberman shared. And I will turn it over to our Vice President.
Okay, we have, I believe, 39 speakers. And there are several issues, I think, that they fall within. But what I do want to say is this is different than the public comments that we took on an agendized item. So during general public comments, which we're now into, those of you who have submitted chits can address the board, but we don't have an item before us. So we can ask clarifying questions or briefly respond or refer something to staff, but generally speaking, we're not going to discuss the things that you bring to us now because we can't. And because there are so many speakers, our rules state that we will go down to 2 minutes per person. So each of you who I call from this moment forward will have 2 minutes. As is our custom, we take students first. And so I think I've had Kimia help me sort, so I'm hoping that I'm going to call the first speakers, the 7 who I have as students. So if that doesn't end up covering you and you're here and you're a student, before we move to the rest of us, please let us know. So with that, the first speakers are Sarah McKenzie, followed by Lolita, I can't read this very well, Reina, okay, thank you. And then Georgia Knox.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lolita Vainlove, and I'm a student at Malibu High School. Standing up here is a bit nerve-wracking, so please excuse me if I stutter, get a little bit nervous. But I'm here to talk about the permit situation. So I've been a part of the Malibu community since attending the 3rd grade at Webster Elementary School. Up until this year, I have lived on a permit living in Agora Hills. I could have had the option of attending Agora High School, but instead I continue coming to a high school where I see people every day who have made up my childhood for the past 8 years. Those people who make coming to school easier every single day are the people that you are threatening to take away from all of us. Due to the Woolsey fire, masses of families who have been living in Malibu for years were forced to move because the one place they called home had turned into ashes. It was not a choice, it was harsh reality. I have been freshman and sophomore class president at Malibu High and hope to continue for the next 2 years, all because of the relationships I share with a great number of individuals on my campus. My plans for the next 2 years before graduating high school have been interrupted, for none of us were planning to lose seeing each other so soon. I currently have a sibling attending kindergarten at Webster Elementary School, and the thought of her not being able to grow up and live the incredible childhood I have so far been able to experience is heartbreaking. It's unfair that our next generation of children in Malibu are being denied the ability of attending schools that have been the source of education for generations of families just because of the location they were forced to move to or have been living in. Thank you.
We are students from Malibu High ASB, and we are also here to talk about the permit issue. We are all here because we care about the future of our school, the future of our district, and unfortunately at this time, both of those futures are in jeopardy, but the futures of our students should not. The Malibu High is built upon generations of permit kids, and it is a disservice to our entire Malibu community to not welcome with open arms these students, my peers, who are the backbone of the school itself.
We realize that you need to make budget cuts so you don't go bankrupt, but even considering getting rid of these permit kids is just morally wrong. The school relies on these kids for programs and to bring diversity to the school that is clearly missing. 1/8 of Malibu's population are currently on permits. Regardless that these already permit kids will be staying, you aren't giving these new generation families that had to move from the fire, which was not their choice, to go to a worse middle school or high school. And the new Malibu, only generation, the kids that are growing up in Malibu, it's just not enough to have an efficient and effective high school, so.
Hello, my name is Sasha. Since kindergarten up until this year, my junior year, I've been on a permit. If I wasn't given the opportunity to attend Malibu school since preschool, I would not be where I am today. Growing up in Oxnard, I've seen many close friends go down the wrong path. My parents placed me in Malibu because they knew that it would be the best decision for me to succeed. I truly believe that if my parents didn't make the decision to put me in Malibu schools, my academic achievements as well as my athletic achievements would not be anywhere as great as they are today. I've had 10 family members go through Malibu High School, 3 siblings, 2 cousins, 2 aunts, and 3 currently still attending, all on permits. All 3 of my siblings are attending college, and my family thanks Malibu High School for that. I've been on the principal's honor roll since the 6th grade, and I'm still going strong today. I was also awarded the presidential honor roll, and I've been on varsity water polo since freshman year. To me, these opportunities would not have been possible if I did not attend Malibu High School. The opportunities that Malibu provides are phenomenal, and the fact that the district wants to take these away for future generations is appalling and devastating. Please remember my story when you consider freezing permits.
Thank you.
Thank you. So were you Sarah and Georgia, the two?
I don't know where Sarah is. She's Sarah. I happen to, but it's a different Sarah.
Oh, but I'm just trying to get these cards straight. And Sasha isn't in here, so that's nice, but I don't have that. No, that's not going to help. They're not in here. Okay, then we have Tiare O'Herlihy. Am I reading that correctly? And then Davis Kerbick and Amber Monty, and then Max Shergo.
Hello, I'm Tiare O'Herlihy. I'm the ASB president at Malibu High School, and I just wanted to say that I've been a permit student my whole life, but I've never been treated like one. I've always been an active, loving member of the Malibu High School community, devoting a lot of time, energy, and money into this school, and I don't ever mind it. I love spending time out of my day to make other students enjoy school more, and it makes me overjoyed to help in any way that I can for this school. Whether it's doing the morning announcements, to setting up for the pep rallies the Thursday night before, and even though, because I am a senior, this won't directly affect me, I know for a fact there are an exponential amount of amazing, impactful permanent students that most people at Malibu High don't even realize they're permanent students. The fact that many people might get kicked out of the wonderful Malibu High School because they live a couple more minutes away from other students in Malibu makes me so disappointed and sad. Sad that I got the pleasure to attend the amazing Malibu High School, and many students following me might not get that pleasure. A school that is based off of students, amazing students, teachers, staff, and academic interests. I'd love for you all to take into consideration what we all have to say, because I can vouch for hundreds of students when I say that permit students are just as much a part / a crucial member of the Malibu High School community. Thank you.
Davis, and then Amber. Are you here? Oh, okay. Is it? Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
All right. Hello, my name is Davis Kerbeck. I'm actually not a permit student. I live only 5 minutes away from Malibu High. But I'm actually really appalled and angered at it because so many of my friends are on permits. So much of the best students at our school are on permits, and I personally feel that banning permits would not only remove the diversity by almost 100% at our school, possibly making it all white or even close to that. I think that is in a direct violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. I believe that act states that no school can nothing that receives federal funding can discriminate on the basis of gender, race, or sex. That being said, even though this act is in no way saying you cannot go to this school because of your skin color, really Malibu is such a non-diverse place. Almost all of our student body is almost all of our diverse student body is on permit. This act would effectively be discrimination and would really impact the diversity of our school, which is already appallingly low. It would make our school and future, even if we had a grandfathering in of current permit students, it would make our enrollment incredibly discriminated, and it would not fare well for the progressive agenda of this district that I support completely. I just really hope that I don't have to go to a school where the diversity is wiped out by a board policy decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Amber, Monty, and Max Shergoat.
Hi, you guys called my name earlier and I was in the restroom.
Oh,
so
Sarah.
If you don't mind me going now.
No, go ahead.
Hi guys, I'm Sarah McKenzie and I'm the current senior class president at Malibu High School. I've lived in Malibu my whole life for as long as I can remember. Our high school has been the center of our community, going to homecoming football games, watching the musicals, going to talent shows, basketball games, soccer games, water polo games, dances, coffee houses, and much more. And that is what I remember the most about growing up in Malibu with older siblings and being a current student here. Having these programs have brought our students together and show the diverse talents of our students. The only way we were able to have these programs is because of the students. However, my community was hit with a devastation that many may not understand is still affecting us today. Yes, it's been over a year, but we are still not healed. Students and families have lost everything and have been displaced to new locations. Because of this, we have lost 14% of our student population. It may not seem like a lot, but Malibu is a small town where only 850 students combined with Malibu Middle and High School, and that is equivalent to about 1 grade at Santa Monica High School, and that's the total of our whole school. What will happen if our student population continues to deplete? All the programs that have given me and my friends all here today that showed up
they will be gone. If there are no students, there are no programs. Programs which mold this community. Malibu High School is what brings us together, where it doesn't feel like a town full of vacation homes, but of families and students. You may wonder why I'm up here as a senior, where this regulation will not affect me. I am here for all the students behind me and my friends' siblings that won't be able to go to their hometown school because of this regulation. Yes, there is a budget issue, but there has to be another solution in which we can work together in order to save our future programs and essentially our community.
Hi, I'm member Monty. I'm a student at Malibu High School in ASB. My house burned down in the Woolsey fire, as well as many others. It's been a real struggle for my family and I to keep ourselves intact and just our whole lives in general. Because of this event, my family and friends and I have suffered tremendously. I have myself and my 3 other family members that have been living in a trailer ever since the fire. And, you know, it's been hard, but we've been rebuilding our house recently. We just started. We didn't have access to necessities like electricity and plumbing for at least the first month and a half. And to hear that people in similar situations will not be able to attend Malibu High School because they were not given this opportunity, like my family and I, to rebuild is devastating. This was a naturally occurring fire that was brought to our city and others, and it's tragic to hear, but it happened and we have to live past it and keep growing from it. And so many of us have been displaced by the fire, and that we will and it's forcing kids to move in other places, and people who have permits will now have to find a different school and not only leave their school that they've been at for years, but they also have to leave their friends and loved ones that they've met here and grown with. Our homes have already been torn away from us, and now our school, friends, and loved ones as well. That's devastating to hear, and I'm hoping that that will not happen after this, but you know, I'm hoping that you guys will take these words into consideration and help us and not take permit kids away from our school.
Thank you. Max.
My name is Max Shergott, and I am a student at Malibu Middle School. My family lives within the Malibu School District. I'm here to support future students of our Malibu community and to ask you to vote no on the adoption of the revised policies of BP, and AR 5117 governing inter-district permits. My family and friends have many questions surrounding this proposed policy change and ask the board to please conduct due diligence to provide us with answers. When can we expect this new permitting policy to go into effect? What is the racial spectrum of children of the City of Malibu employees who have been granted an exception to permit restriction? Why the exception if they do not bring diversity? Why do the children of other schools' staff not merit permits? Pepperdine, our nursery schools, children of state and county employees who serve as peace officers and first responders. Other Malibu employers, are their children less worthy than those of city employees? Why is there a double standard for Santa Monica schools? If Edison Elementary rightly recognizes the value of Spanish-speaking students who will not face inter-district permit revocation in the future, how do you explain this to Malibu's multilingual students seeking enrollment in kindergarten whose permits will now be denied? Adopting basic aid has been done to increase money for schools and has instantly created an additional millions of dollars for us. Yet we hear that we are now broke for having done this. How is there money to add layers of administrators and pathway directors in Malibu? Could we not take the dollars proposed for spending on pathway directors in Malibu? Oh, okay. Spending on pathway directors in Malibu to hire a diversity and social equity consultant and produce necessary studies on the impact of these policy changes.
Thank you. Now that should, hopefully that encompasses all of the students who were here to speak. If there are any other students, now's the time. Otherwise,
I believe there's students to speak on case of
I don't know if you want to hear those now. Yeah. I mean, that is, you're right. It wasn't indicated on here, so let's see if I can figure that out.
I don't know how you want to keep it. What do you want? Can we keep
No, I don't think we can, because the reason we do this is, our theory is that students, not that everyone doesn't need to get home and go to work tomorrow, but that students have to go home, maybe do homework and go to sleep. So, and this is what we try to do. I don't, however, the best way to do this is, if you're a student and you submitted a chit to speak on any item, why don't you come up to the front and we'll take you first, and then I'll pull your cards out. Yeah, no, but there's... Oh, no, thank you. I really appreciate that. And just as you come up, if you can give me your name, then I'll be able to pull your chit.
My name is Jonathan Zhang.
And you can go ahead. You each have 2 minutes.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jonathan Zhang, and I am a senior on the Samuel High wrestling team. Coach Munn and the wrestling team have been instrumental in shaping me into the person I am today. I was born with vesicoroidal reflux, a condition in which urine flows back into the kidneys. After numerous surgeries and years of antibiotic treatments for my urinary tract infections, I was finally cleared to participate in sports in high school. I decided to join the wrestling team, a sport that welcomes everyone with open arms and didn't require prior experience. So I joined as a skinny, nerdy Asian kid with only 4% body fat. Despite not being a successful varsity wrestler, Coach Munn still welcomed me to come and train with the team. He didn't stress wins or losses, but wanted me to focus on my own personal growth. Coach Munn has taught me important life lessons that I would never learn from any other administrator on this campus. From him, I have gained more confidence in myself and have become more stronger, both physically and mentally. He has taught me to step outside of my comfort zone and explore my passions in teaching and helping others. Without wrestling and Coach Munn, I would not have been able to have been accepted into UC Irvine's honor program or received a letter of invitation from the chancellor at UC Santa Barbara. Coach Munn has contributed so much to the wrestling program. This past season, Coach Munn has led us to a second place finish in our division and helped us qualify for the CIF dual meet, a feat that Samuel High wrestling team hasn't been able to accomplish for several decades. He sacrifices time away from seeing his family in order to work with us and see us improve. He has cultivated an environment where we can be free from the burden of academics and focus on wrestling. He pushes us to be the greatest in all we do and teaches us to work hard. He genuinely cares about each and every single one of us and wants us to succeed. Coach Munn has created a second family for all of us. We support one another and help lift each other back up when we are at our lowest point. These are kids so different from me that without Coach Munn and the wrestling team bringing us together, I would never have been friends with them. I don't want to see this close-knit family of wrestlers be broken apart from the disadvantage of the wrestling program due to budget cuts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If any of you get cut short on your comments, you can always submit an email to us that's more complete. Thank you. And your name is?
Christina Nichols.
Great, thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, board members. I'm Christina Nichols. I'm a junior at Samuel High, and I'm on the wrestling team. I specifically came to Samuel High to wrestle because there were no schools near my house that had a wrestling program, especially for girls. But I didn't come to Samuel until my sophomore year, so I didn't know anyone when I came last year. My first class last year was taught by Coach Munn. When I came to Samuel, I was immediately welcomed by Coach Munn and the team. Coach Munn was very helpful in and out of the classroom. At the end of the day, wrestling is what I look forward to the most out of anything. For me, wrestling has made a huge impact in my high school experience. Wrestling has helped me through my tough times and made me a stronger person. Wrestling has helped me so much more than it's given me so much more than just showing up for a sport. It has helped me mentally and emotionally. It was challenging to get into Samuel, so if there was no wrestling program, it would be devastating for me and my teammates. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ian Gomez. I'm a senior at Samuel High, and I'm speaking on behalf of my wrestling team and my coach. The summer leading up to my freshman year, I casually ran into the famous Coach Black, and I was walking through the basketball courts after football practice. Coach Black was standing at the top of the stairs and loudly asked me, "You gonna join the wrestling team?" I went to one practice, and I was home. I met some incredible people and made lifelong friends. There's a real fellowship, honesty, and respect amongst wrestlers. We work extremely hard because if you don't, your competition is going to put you on your back. While our friends and peers are sleeping in, we're up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning to get to school by 6 so we can double check our weight, then head out to an hour-long drive to make it to a tournament official weigh-in at some high school across town. And then battle all day. Why do we do it? Because we love it. Coach Munn has brought structure and discipline to this program. He's a no-nonsense type of guy. He commands respect and commitment. Our team won many tournaments this season. Cheering each other on was fun, and getting the win felt great. He has drawn other great coaches to help out, like Coach Aldo, Coach Andrew, and we would not accomplish all that we did without them. Coach Munn made this team. He brought the best out in all of us. Coach Munn believes in us. I'm on my way out, but I'll leave behind a bunch of great kids who are preparing for the next season, whose dreams of being a champion are still within reach. They need Coach Munn to get them there. Please don't take this away from them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. I'm David Jensen. I'm a sophomore at Samo High, and I'm on the varsity wrestling team. I came today on behalf of my teammates and my coach to tell you how much this team means to us and how much Coach Munn means to us. When I switched into Samo High last year, I didn't know anyone. And the first place I felt at home was in Coach Munn's room. I quickly built meaningful relationships with my coaches and teammates that will last a lifetime. Over the last 2 years, I've greatly changed as a person for the better. And I credit it all to Coach Munn and this team. I've learned discipline, hard work, dedication, and leadership. But the greatest thing I've gotten out of wrestling is confidence. Wrestling has helped me make my next steps into adulthood, and I credit it all to Coach Munn. He's taught me many lessons as both a wrestler and as a man. I know my teammates all have similar experiences and have all grown deeply from this program. We want you to realize how important this team is to us and how much Coach Munn has done to build it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jet Shariari, and I am a junior at Samo High. Mr. Munn should not be let go, not only because he is a great English teacher and helps his students reach their full potential in the classroom by encouraging students to run the extra mile and help them reach farther than they ever thought they could, but because he is an amazing coach for the kids on the Samo High wrestling team. Mr. Munn pushes his wrestlers to their full potential as well. Mr. Munn helped many wrestlers develop their skills and techniques by leading practices and drilling moves continuously as a team. Mr. Munn also showed his wrestlers that it was okay to fail, and it was about how you come back from your failure and improve upon your mistakes that really counts. Mr. Munn made the wrestling team feel like a family to everyone involved with the program. In addition, if SMUSD decides to let Mr. Munn go, the wrestling program at Samo High would be left with no one to lead them and would mean the end of the wrestling program. This would be a great loss for my family and everyone involved with the wrestling program, because many of us have younger siblings on the team or who are aspiring to be part of the team in the future. I have a younger brother who started wrestling for Mr. Munn his freshman year and is now a sophomore and wrestling at the varsity level and has placed 7th at the California Interscholastic Federation tournament this past weekend. This is outstanding for a sophomore to wrestle at such a level. My brother would not have been wrestling like this today if it wasn't for Mr. Munn's great coaching skills. If Mr. Munn was to be let go, my brother will never get the chance to wrestle at his full potential. I also have a younger brother in 5th grade who is very excited to join the wrestling team once he becomes a freshman at Samo. If Mr. Munn is let go, he will never be able to explore some of his potential passions as a wrestler. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Vincent Shariari, and I am a Santa Monica High School wrestler, and I want to be for 2 more years. Last weekend, I placed 7th in CIF, and that was really good for a sophomore. Coach Munn was there cheering me on and pushing me to do my best. My junior year is the year where I really want to improve, and my senior year is the year where I'm going to be my best at wrestling. I really want to get better. I improved so much from last year. I'm improving with the help of Coach Munn, and if you take that away, I will improve. And as a team, we will not go as far as we did this year. Our team made it really far, and is the farthest we have gone in a long time. If he is gone, the team is gone, and we really don't want that. I have shown up for every practice. I've gone to all the tournaments. My parents have driven me back and forth to so many tournament places. Our whole team has put in so much time and effort into this sport, and if you just take that all away, it'd be such a big waste. Please keep Coach Munn and the wrestling program at SAMO. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more? One more? Or are you all spoken out? Okay. So that completes all of the student speakers, right? Okay, so thank you, all of you students, and you're welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to go because no action is going to be taken on anything that you've spoken on. And now we'll continue through the rest of these. First, we have Laura Ford, followed by Mark Cullen, and then Yvonne Bush, I think it is. Okay, so then that means I think that she gets 3 minutes. She gets 1 extra minute.
Hi, I'm Laura Ford. First of all, I'd like to thank student board member Mia Wachtel, who's been incredibly responsive and sympathetic and helpful to Taj. Thank you, Mia, for supporting my son. At the last board meeting, my son Taj and I spoke to you about our concern that Samo High boys and girls JV tennis is pay for play. We laid out in detail how tryouts violated CIF's rule of fair and open and how kids were negatively impacted by a coach's conflict of interest. On Friday, Dr. Shelton shared his report with me. The report said that 5 out of the 6 boys who made the team had been paying Coach Poon privately for lessons. The report admitted to no wrongdoing, but said that site leadership will change the tryout system going forward. In the future, coaches who teach private lessons and clinics will not participate in team selection. However, Dr. Shelton said he will not offer the temporary solution of a no-cut team this season. He said a no-cut team would be unfair and inappropriate. As my son Taj asked me, unfair to who? 5 out of the 6 boys who made the team were paying Coach Poon. I don't understand why Dr. Shelton is willing to fix tryouts going forward, but is refusing to help the kids who were hurt by them this season. Kids are losing a year of tennis. The solution is simple, but no one wants to do it. Why? A temporary no-cut team is doable. We have court space at Samo High, lots of public courts in Santa Monica, and the days are getting longer. Parents are willing to volunteer time and donate resources, just like they do with our music and theater programs. Even the USTA, the United States Tennis Association, wants to help. So why can't this happen? These past 2 months have been Kafkaesque. I have been stonewalled and slow-played and berated and lied to by Samo High site leadership. In December, I tried to express my concerns and suggest solutions to Dr. Medrano and AD Fujinaga. They wouldn't entertain any of them, and they shut me down. In January, Dr. Shelton said I was the first person to bring up these issues, so other parents came forward, parents whose issues predated mine. On January 17th, Dr. Shelton called me while I was in the car with my son Kai. On the call, Dr. Shelton berated me for getting other parents involved. He scolded me for asking too many questions. He complained that he had to take time out of his busy day to start an investigation. Student athletes were saying they had been treated unfairly due to tryouts. Taj talked to Dr. Shelton himself, but why wouldn't Dr. Shelton want to look into this? As we laid out in detail 2 weeks ago, boys and girls have been unfairly kept off JV tennis due to a coach's conflict of interest. This conflict of interest is being rectified, so why can't we help the kids? I respectfully ask that you override Dr. Shelton's decision and put these kids on the team tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Yvonne. I think I'm reading the handwriting correctly. It is Bush, okay. And then Melissa Solano, Waylani Otterlily, and then Todd Doyle.
Good evening, board members. My name is Yvonne Bush, and I'm the mom of a 6-year-old K-grade student at Malibu Webster, and we love that school. We just learned very shortly that there is this permit issue on the table, and me and my fellow moms are very concerned. We are not only concerned of the diversity, we are concerned to learn about other stories of other people. And it is so important that we have these stories. I myself, I'm coming from Germany. I'm trying to teach as much Europeanness into my kid and the other fellow moms, and I would be so, so sorry if we do not be able to share more of these stories by other students that come from other districts. So we lost already many homes in a fire last year, me, myself included. It would be very, very bad if we lose our Malibu schools. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Melissa Solano?
I also have a special guest who's a permanent student over at Mess Elementary School and my daughter's kindergarten classmate. I'm going to read tonight an email that I sent over to the board this morning so that I can have it on record. My name is Melissa Solano, and I'm a Mess class mom, PTA member, lead Mess representative. My child is a kindergarten student at Mess, and we are zoned for our school, not a transfer student. I just found out on Tuesday night that there's a school board vote scheduled regarding the future of inter-district transfer students. I ask why. Why the continuous lack of communication on matters that can and will impact our community and our children? Your desire to vote on this matter will impact my child's fellow classmate, friend, and ultimately the community. My family represents the very few Latino families that exist here in Malibu, and extremely proud of it. I'm a well-educated Dominican-Italian active businesswoman with 16 years in the wholesale industry as a sales executive, agency owner, and my husband, a local Malibu small business owner who's Costa Rican. I share this because we are members of the community that represent minorities. I have a few questions. I know they won't be answered, but it's food for thought. Why are we only hearing about this when the vote is imminent and cannot be appealed? You mentioned today that the permanent students that are in Malibu now won't be affected, but what's the plan? Every year after year, are they gonna have to submit and apply for a permit? Will they be granted that? How would a vote limit permanent students' impact racial, cultural, and socioeconomic diversity? Have you researched how this vote can impact our socioeconomic diversity? Can we argue that this constitutes discrimination, even if it's under the facade of balancing a budget? Would you agree? Why or why not? Have we really thought this vote through and how this would destroy the Malibu school system? I say this because I honestly did not believe in the public school system, and I elected to place my child in private school. After meeting Craig Foster at the Chili Cook-Off and meeting Principal Hertz, I decided to commit and give this an honest shot, solely in the condition that I would actually be a parent to help create a positive impact on my child's education and future, to be involved during my spare time, to help him become extremely proactive and not just reactive. I made that commitment, and I believe thus far I have given my heart to do this. Just ask Craig, he knows how vocal I am. I had no idea
Are
that...
you close to the end?
I'm close to being done, but I still think that my point needs to be put across. I had no idea that my drive would be there for my child, would now fuel me to be there for everyone else's children. This is why I plead you reconsider the damage that can happen if you move forward and pass this vote. So I'm going to conclude this, but I will say I love Malibu with every ounce of my soul and being. This is a place that's magical and a treasure to be cared for, and it's home. As a former diehard New Yorker, I never believed I could love a place more than NYC. I ask you, don't take the love away, don't take the opportunity away from my kids, don't take it away from our friends, and don't take it away from the community. We need diversity, and we need our permits. Think this through.
Thank you very much. Wailani Otterlily, am I getting it right? Oh my God, that's an H, not two T's. I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Wailani O'Hurley, and my husband is Cormac O'Hurley. He's lived in Malibu Colony since the 60s, and he's been in real estate for 40 years. I've been in real estate in Malibu for 23 years. We are partners in the community of Malibu. Working for Sotheby's. We also have sold over 300 homes in this time, in which we have these people that have bought these homes have contributed large amounts of tax dollars to the community of Malibu. I am also a mother to 3 children who have gone through the Malibu School District. My daughter has graduated from Malibu High and is now a successful photographer in New York. And our daughter came up here earlier. Her name is Tiari O'Hurley. She is ASB president and has been president for the last 4 years at Malibu High. She is very active, as well as our other 2 kids, in soccer, football, baseball, softball, and I have been an active team mother to all these kids on all these teams and organizing all the snacks and all the games for all these kids. I feel that I'm integrally rooted in this community, and I feel that this interdistrict permit situation is really detrimental to other generations of families, such as ours. Our daughter is a senior. We will no longer need interdistrict permits, but I'm here to stand up for all the rest of the families that should not be shortcoming because of this interdistrict permit. Also, I am so integrated with the community that I participate in many fundraisers. We've raised lots of money for the city of Malibu, and many people in the audience here know that we have supported everybody. I've supported many of these kids that stood up here to talk. I know intimately because of sports, and they actually have a little shortcut name for me, Wylons, when they see me running down the street. Anyway, I think that this is a detriment to the city of Malibu and to the generations of families, and I feel that they should totally be reconsidered. And I thank you for listening to my comments today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we have Todd Doyle, Azucena Luis, Jose Alvarez, and then C. Collins.
Hello, my name's Todd Doyle. I thought the children spoke very eloquently about all the good reasons why we need to really address this issue and think about it smartly. It broke my heart to hear these kids talk about permit kids versus non-permit kids. They're just children. And until we went to state aid, quite frankly, you needed these kids in your classrooms. You needed to get paid for them, right? And now they're made to feel like they're second-class citizens. And, hey, that's not right, because the families and the children that make up these quote-unquote permit kids are truly some of the backbone of our community. And at the root of it, our school is our community. And it makes me angry that I'm here 25 miles away from my home asking people that don't live in my community to help save my community. I've listened to Dr. Drotti personally speak at the school last week, and I'm looking for leadership. I want commitment to these children. I want someone to say, we're not going to address it in a year or 2 years, and this is going to be hard. You have more money now than you did before. I think this should be figured out. Diversity is a big issue in our community. Programming, sports, all these things will be gone. You don't realize that these schools are shrinking. We went from 3 to 2 in our elementary schools. We're going to have a seriously hard time putting kids in a high school that you're paying millions of dollars of taxpayer money to build. And it's not going to be done for 10 years. I listened to Dr. Drotti say that our 3rd grade class is projected at 350 kids. You get rid of these kids, you're going to have 200 and something kids in a 700-person high school. It makes no sense. I think you can do better. I'd like to see better leadership. Thank you.
Your community, you think you can help me? Could you do a little quick faster boost?
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, can I do my comment in Spanish?
Absolutely. Do we have,
Thank you.
can we have someone translate? Is
Oh,
that
I think
possible?
she has someone
Oh.
else there.
Oh, great, thank you. So if we're translating, then you'll have 4 minutes, so it can be translated.
Thank you. My name is Azucena Luis. El año pasado fue presidente de ILAC de las escuelas de Malibu.
It might be better if she reads her whole thing in Spanish and then I'll read it in English.
Perfect. Hoy en día soy la representante de ILAC de la escuela de Webster. Estoy aquí representando a las familias latinas que trabajan y contribuyen a la economía de la ciudad de Malibu. Al igual que yo, tienen la necesidad de tener a sus hijos estudiando cerca del lugar de trabajo en caso de cualquier emergencia y para estar más al pendiente de sus avances académicos en las escuelas. Y lo más importante, para mejorar la comunicación entre profesores y padres de familia. Mis hijos están bajo permiso de interdistrito porque mi esposo y yo trabajamos tiempo completo en la ciudad de Malibu. Mi esposo es cocinero en un restaurante de alto prestigio en esta ciudad y yo limpio casas. Cada día salimos de la casa a las 7 de la mañana y regresamos hasta las 6 de la tarde. Vivimos en la ciudad de Port Wayne. A 5 minutos de nuestra casa hay una excelente escuela pública, pero decidimos inscribir a nuestros niños en Malibu por las razones que ya les mencioné anteriormente. La última vez que Dr. Trari visitó nuestra escuela Webster el día 27 de enero del presente año, dijo verbalmente que disminuir o eliminar los permisos de interdistrito no era una opción para resolver los problemas que atraviesa el distrito, que ni siquiera se contemplaría esta idea. Cabe recalcar que me opongo totalmente a la cancelación de los permisos de interdistrito, ya sea en el presente o en el futuro. Gracias.
Hi. Okay. I am here to represent the Latino families that work and contribute to the economy of Malibu, of the city of Malibu. We need our children to be close to our place of work in case of emergencies and also so that we can be more involved with the school community, more involved with our children's academics, development, and be able to have easier communication with the teachers. My husband and I both are working for wealthy families in the community. Every day we drive from Point Hamumi, I think that's how you say it, at 7 a.m. and come home at 6 p.m. There is an excellent public school 5 minutes from our home, but we have chosen to enroll our children in Malibu so they could be close to our place of work. On the 27th of January, Dr. Drade visited Webster, and he said he was not going to eliminate the inter-district permits. He said that this was not an option. He said he was not going to contemplate that idea, and I just want to be clear that I completely oppose to the present or future inter-district attendance regulation. Is that what it was? Anyway.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Jose Alvarez, and I'm here to talk about a little bit about the permits and how that whole permit benefit me and my family. I have 4 kids, which 3 are in college, thanks to Malibu High School in the permits. I have worked in the Malibu community for over 30 years. My kids don't know anything else, just Malibu High School since preschool all the way up to high school. I have one more 1.5 years to go with my daughter, which it's really very involved in school, really has good grades, and I believe that if you guys eliminate any, of this permits, it will be, I don't know, probably not sure exactly, as a person previously was mentioning, why are you guys building that school right now? Basically, it's waste of money. So, no. If anybody can explain that to me in better words, I might understand that. And I'm looking at this map right here, right now, and I'm looking at this line. To me, that it's like going back 100 years back, like segregation, just keeping the kids, in this line. You cannot go out of this line. To me, it seems that it's not right for our kids, and I believe that you guys can do a lot better and think about this permit, because it will basically hurt a lot of families. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have C. Collins, Ann Russell, and Tierney Giron.
Can I just, while we're transitioning, just remind everybody if we could do this, because it's really important. I don't think anybody's going to speak in favor of permits, but we've got to keep an atmosphere here where everybody feels safe, okay? So thank you.
Thank you, Board. My name is Craig Collins. I'm here because I just found out about this last night, about this permits. I'm totally against it. I lived in Malibu since 1978 and was married in my backyard. My daughter was conceived there, and not in the backyard, but she was conceived in the house. And the state of California decided to come down and kick us out at Topanga Beach. Eminent domain, they called it. They would not give us fair market value for our homes, so it pushed us out of the Malibu area. My wife works at Malibu Methodist. She's been there many, many years. My daughter went to Malibu Methodist. She went to Cabrillo. Now she's a 10th grader at Malibu High School. She grew up with all of her friends. It'd be devastating and emotional if she had to leave. And I hope that she doesn't have to leave. I know you will make the right decision. It's a very difficult thing that's happening to all of us here. But we must stick together. I have a couple more things on my mind, but I heard so many wonderful things today. It kind of actually helps me not talk so much. But I just want to thank you again.
Thank you. If I could get you to come up and be ready to speak behind the other speakers. Ann Russell, Tierney Giron, Elsie Kibler, and then Kelly Kincaid.
My name is Ann Russell Shergott, and I'm a parent of 3 children residing in district lines and attending Malibu Public Schools. I'm here today to upstate my opposition to the proposed new language for BP and AR 5117, as well as to the recently enacted freeze on incoming kindergarten interdistrict permits. Grandfathering current permit holders is not enough. Whether in a year or 5 to 10, these policy changes will result in the antithesis of 21st century learning and will reduce it to an empty buzzword. True learning occurs in an environment of social equity and diversity of incomes and ethnicities. If a racist and classist outcome is the inevitable result, but not the motivation behind these proposed policies, then this action can only be explained by the subversive goal of ending the AMPS movement, which would leave Malibu property tax dollars available for larger administrator salaries and more money per head for Santa Monica children. When our communities tell a wealthy white child that a Latina parent is good enough to scrub his toilet, but that her child is not welcome among his wealthy white friends, this is an impactful life lesson. That child will go to school to discuss the theory of diversity. When our new high school comes online in 8 to 10 years, he will collaborate in a group that mirrors him. The story ends when he arrives to his first day of work to discover that his new boss is now the adult child of that housekeeper from long ago. The families who fight high rents to stay in Malibu schools, who have been priced out, pushed back, burned out, who have risked sick buildings and cancer diagnoses, have not done so for reasons other than out of a fierce loyalty to our diverse school community. Permit families are the ones who volunteer to do the work of running our schools and coaching our kids. In coming years, given the chance to exist in a tiny monoculture devoid of enough students to support team sports, AP classes, orchestra, theater, these remaining wealthy people able to afford homes in district lines in Malibu will go elsewhere to private school or to larger schools in Oak Park, Calabasas, Westlake, and Thousand Oaks with more for kids. Almost done. Malibu is a community that's identity and bond has long been based upon geography and relationships, one spread much wider than the invisible boundaries of city, county, or school district. I've provided a map for you to illustrate this unique Malibu geography. Missing from the map is the further push of families who have been burned out. They've been burned out of the blue zone, and now they're even beyond. I thank the board members for your time this evening.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, oh, thank you all. The next speaker is Tierney.
Yes.
Kieran?
Hi, I'm going to keep it short because we're pretty much all saying the same thing. One thing I'm wondering is Malibu is already such a tiny school. I'm just wondering if this is a secret plan you're trying to shut us down. But anyway, so one thing is, you know, one of the most important things is community is not just about the people that live in it. It's the people that are also working in the community. The other thing regarding diversity, it's not just about race. Diversity covers other things like, you know, income. It's about a whole large group of people. I choose for my children to go to public school to be part of a more diverse community. I also, like I spoke for that woman before, my concern is I've had many, I lived in Santa Monica. I have 4 children, who were 13 to age 26. My kids have been at Roosevelt, Lincoln, Juan Cabrillo, Malibu Middle School, and Malibu High School. I've had many people working over me over the years, from nannies, gardeners, housekeepers, assistants. I've got my disabled mother living with her. All of them have had an opportunity to send their kids to schools in Santa Monica as well as in Malibu. And I just want to do whatever I can and speak up so that we can continue that, because what I like is the people that help me in my home. They are my family, and they are the most important to me. And if they are happy, then we are happy.
Good evening. My name is Elsje Gibbler-Vermaas, and I'm the parent of a 1st grader and a 6th grader in Malibu. And I'll be reading a letter on behalf of the teachers of Malibu Middle School and Malibu High School, Dr. Girardi, Board of Education, and Santa Monica Malibu community at large. As our school district examines our inter-district and intra-district permit policies, the 55 Malibu Middle School, Malibu High School teachers who have signed this letter would like to make our position clear. We believe that inter-district and intra-district permits should continue to be open to all students interested in attending Malibu schools. Our current practice of accepting all students should continue, because discontinuing the ability of interested students to attend Malibu schools on permits will be detrimental to Malibu schools in many ways. If the current permit process is changed in Malibu, our already declining student enrollment will decline so much that the viability of our Malibu schools will be in serious jeopardy. There are currently 188 TK through 12 students on permit in Malibu schools, out of a total of 1,395 students currently attending Malibu schools. Our district's commitment to social justice, diversity, and inclusion will be seriously compromised. Many of our permit families are from unincorporated Malibu and/or were affected by the fire. After such a devastating natural disaster from which we're still reeling, it seems unthinkable that we would revoke permits from those families. Further teacher cuts will be inevitable. All extracurricular activities, including sports and all arts programs, will be decimated. For our small school, the numbers in orchestra and bands and choir and athletes that have permits are significant. We're spending millions of dollars to build new schools, but without permits, where are these students going to come from? Equitable permit rules between Santa Monica and Malibu will create inequitable school programs with loss of course offerings, sports and arts programs in Malibu. We understand that we are in a budget crisis. We advocate keeping budget cuts as far from our students and classrooms as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Kelly Kincaid, followed by Karen Lieb, and then Nathan Jones.
I'm getting 1 more minute just to say what the teachers actually recommend.
Sure.
May I?
Yes.
The teachers recommends moratoriums on the following. 1, hiring of administrative staff at the district level. 2, all non-state required professional developments. 3, consultation services including Innovate Ed, which they believe are more than capable of leading by their own teachers and staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Karen Lieb, Nathan Jones, and Zach Musgrave.
Okay, first of all, thank you all for being here and for listening to all of us. And I do want to take a moment to honor Phil Cott. If I missed that at the beginning, forgive me. I walked in a few moments late, but as a Webster parent, he was such a legacy to all of us. I know, Kimya, I've known you since kindergarten. And he's just left such a legacy and a strong impact on our entire community, a lot of which has carried over into the kids, into the middle school and the high school. I was a Webster parent for 9 years, and I devoted a lot of my time there. I'm also the co-chair for the FDAC committee, which oversees how we recommend how we spend our bond money for building the new schools, and I co-chaired Measure M, and I worked really hard to have this bond passed to raise $195 million to build these new schools. So obviously, we don't want to continue going forward in some respect that we're not going to have full schools. A lot of our discussions are about how many kids will we have. I've also been going on a lot of field trips with Dr. Dradi and Craig Foster and Jackie, and we've been going all over California looking at all the best schools to figure out the best project-based learning, the best 21st century learning for our kids. And one of the main reasons to not lose our permits when it comes up for vote with you guys is so we can have robust programs, so we can have engineering, and we can have humanities and the arts. And I know you guys are on the school board because you love our students. I mean, you wouldn't spend all your time, I don't think, doing this if you did not. So I just want you to take into careful consideration families coming up, starting in kindergarten, who are looking for permits and looking for where to have their kids grow up and call home. I agree with so much about all the workers and their kids here. They've lent so much to our community. People like Sasha and tons of my kids' friends at Malibu High. They're incredible people in our community. Also, I totally lost my train of thought there, but I think it's important for you guys to put out in the public that you will not be revoking any permits, because I think after everything we've been through, we really want to make sure people feel confident in our schools. So the people kindergarten through 12 need to know they are not going to be going anywhere. Okay, thank you.
Hi, thank you for being here tonight. And, you know, I like what you say, Dr. Bendrati, that you want to talk of opportunities. I think we have a wonderful opportunity to create an insane school district for everyone. All night we've been listening to everyone being upset about cuts, students unhappy with what they get, and, you know, why can't we do like an endowment or a foundation? You know, the amount of money that the Malibu community raised after the fires in such a short space of time was incredible. Like, if we can go out there and say that we have a situation right now that, you know, is not good for anyone, it's not good for the students, it's not good for you guys, it's not good for the teachers. We have to do something different. Like what Todd said, we need leadership, we need visionary leadership. Like, we've done this already in Santa Barbara and numerous other wealthy coastal communities where, you know, basic aid funding has come in and the pyramid kids are getting kicked out. It's not good enough, you know? We can do better. We have to be visionary. We have to do it different. We have to get endowments going. We have to get foundations going so we can have it all, you know? We don't have to be limited. You keep talking about 2 or 3 years. In 2 or 3 years, we can have an amazing amount of money in an endowment and in a foundation, and we can have it all. Nobody is going to get laid off. We're going to be hiring more people. The kids are going to be having everything they want, you know? We need this. Santa Monica needs it. Malibu needs it. We all need it. You know, make your life much easier. I'm sitting back there and I'm like, you have the worst job in the world, you know? Everyone who's coming up here is like, wants everything. You know, we want tennis, we want wrestling, we want whatever you want, you know? Let's have it all. Like, look at this map, you know? Nobody is moving here. Guess who's living here? Insanely wealthy, successful people who will give whatever you want, you know? Whatever you want, we can have it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for making us all laugh, at least. We have Zach Musgrave, Marcus Sakamoto, and John Jensen.
Hey, Zach Musgrave, thanks for being here tonight and listening to comments. I'm not going to belabor the points other people made, especially the last one about this community being full of incredibly wealthy people who you haven't even asked for help yet in order to avoid having to do the cuts we've talked about tonight. I just want to make a point about basic procedural fairness with how this these changes to the permitting process are being approached. I moved my family down here from Seattle about a year ago. We have a kindergarten student who's going to be attending kindergarten in the fall. The LAUSD Unified Choice Program closed their applications in November. At the time we submitted those applications, because I work full-time in Santa Monica, we thought that we would have Santa Monica schools as a fallback option if the LAUSD district doesn't give us a school that we can live with. Now, 3 months after the applications were due for LAUSD, we find out that maybe isn't the case. It's really not fair to change the rules of the game in the middle of the game for parents who are being responsible, educating themselves, and following all the rules. So whatever other decisions you guys make here in the coming weeks, I really urge you, don't change the rules for the current coming school year at this state. It's too late to do that. Now would be a great time to talk about changes for the 2021 school year. You missed your chance for the 2020 school year. We already had this conversation and for LAUSD, and it ended in November. It's too late for us to reconsider our options, and there's going to be a lot of other families who are in the same boat. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Marcus, we have, I think there are 3 of you on the same topic. So you can go with whatever order you are. It's Michael.
We're going to swap. Hi.
Yeah. We're going back to wrestling. It's good. We need to
Back to
mix this
wrestling.
up a little bit.
My name's John Jensen, and I have my son presented tonight. He's a sophomore on the varsity team, and I actually, after listening to it tonight, I want to thank you guys for doing this, serving on this board and listening. So, with good intentions and consideration. I don't think it's the worst job. I think you have passionate people that really care about what they care about, and they're bringing it to you. And you have difficult decisions to make, but they're important decisions that people care about. And so as far as this wrestling issue, the Coach Munn was apparently evaluated only on one of 3 parts of his job. He was only evaluated on his classroom activities in English, and not on his special education or his wrestling. And so when I heard that, I thought, well, that's sort of a policy decision of this board. I mean, how are you going to review probationary teachers? In particular, excuse me, probationary teachers that do things like coaching, which are difficult jobs to fill, especially wrestling coaching. For a long time, there was an institution in Santa Monica with Mark Black, but he's gone, and it's evolved, and it's a different program. It's not the same program. It's different values, different people involved, and it's wider and broader, and it really brings in a bunch of different students. You saw Jonathan speak tonight. He's not your typical athlete. He's more of an intellectual, and yet he's in this program and he's participating, and they're making friends, and they're sort of broadening their own horizons, and that's sort of where it comes into my second point in this. First, I think you need to address this issue about how you're going to, what the policies are to evaluate these teachers. I think they should be evaluated in all of their jobs, all 3 of the reporting activities, in particular because coaching is so important. The last part is these people in these positions, they really do send out and represent the values of this district, and they're important positions, and they should be, respected and valued. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Marcus Sakamoto, and I took the liberty of emailing each and every one of you boards. I hope later today or tomorrow you get a chance to read it. I'm sorry I speak too fast, but I've been involved with the wrestling program for 6 years. I'm on my 3rd child right now. Reluctantly, if all goes well, I have 7 more years until my 4th graduates. So yes, knock on wood, and hopefully my hair stays. I helped recruit Coach Munn. I went to North Torrance High School. I interviewed him. I checked his references. Once I was happy and other few parents were happy, we passed it on to the athletic director. And then he was happy. He pushed it through the administrators. So Coach Munn interviewed with about 4 or 5 people, primarily on the special education side and on the athletic side. So when I found out that his evaluation was solely on the English side and not by a special ed English teacher, but by the chairman of the English department, there's a discontent on who's hiring him and who's making the final evaluation. Dr. Sheldon very nicely spent a lot of time with me explaining the rules, the laws of what he can do and when he has to do it. It's a very short time period because of probation. And then, so I know there's a very big policy, as my friend John just spoke about. And one of the reasons I was able to recruit him was from speeches of Dr. Dradi when I know you're a sports fan, and I know you're pushing sports, but word gets out that you come in as a coach, but you're not evaluated as a coach. You're evaluated as somebody else. We're gonna have a hard time building up the sports community here. And I think we all believe sports is an integral part of everybody's life here. And I know my daughter's a freshman. She took first place at CIF last weekend. She's seated 5th tomorrow at the Southern section. So we have a very successful program going on right now. And I could guarantee you from my experience, replacing Coach Munn is impossible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Michael, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name for me though, so I don't botch it.
How would you say it?
Well, I was trying to decide whether it was Nechi or...
Bingo.
Okay.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to all of us. My two sons are on Coach Munn's wrestling team. I had a long speech to kind of bring you up to speed on the whole history of Coach Munn, but it's already been done. So I'm just going to kind of jump to my conclusion and just say whether it's art or music or athletics, teachers like Coach Munn contribute to our children's overall high school experience. And it's important that we value that when we determine who will be teaching in our schools. I asked the board to take a broad view of their teachers and their contributions as they face what I'm sure is going to be some really difficult decisions in the coming months. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next three speakers are Sarah Braff, followed by Dan Farrell, and then Eileen Mickens, I think it is. Might be Mickers, I'm not sure.
The only way we're going to improve this is to improve school funding. And that requires us to support and go after schools and communities first. This will allow us, this will have companies that have not been paying their fair share of taxes to start to do so. And it is the only way we're going to be able to go from in the 40s to hopefully in the 20s at the very least. And therefore, we are asking, and if you could, Sarah Warrenbook, pass out those papers. Oh, you got them. Okay. So there's a lot of whereases and all of that stuff. I'm not going to take everybody through it right now, but we need every single person in this room to sign a petition to get this funding in. This funding, if we can get this on the election slate, could bring in over $6 million a year to Santa Monica, Malibu. And that's really key. We only will avoid these situations if we can improve funding. And so we ask that you adopt this Schools and Communities First board resolution language. I'm not going to go through reading it all because I just think it would be too unfortunate for everybody. But please, if you haven't signed the petition, whether you're in Malibu, Santa Monica, it doesn't matter. You could be in Oxnard, it doesn't matter. We want everybody to sign. And to really make sure, talk to your teachers, talk to people at your staff, and get a hold of these petitions and sign them. Thank you.
Sarah, can
Yes.
you, for anybody who's listening or watching at home or who's here,
I have not the
you
ability
can't
to
tell
forward it.
people where to go? Can you sign online, or do you have to go somewhere to sign these?
Ask most of your teachers, especially your reps, will have these petitions, so just ask them for them. SEIU as well. So we have to have all of these petitions handed in by March 11th. So it's really important. It's important that you don't abbreviate on the form and that you use black and blue.
I have a clarifying question.
Yes.
So what is Schools and Communities First? And if it is a ballot measure, when might it appear if we get all the petitions?
I would hope that it would be in the November ballot. That would be the goal for it. It's a huge investment in our futures. It provides a historic opportunity to right the wrongs of the tax. We have
All right,
Disney paying 1978 prices, and we want them to pay 2020 prices because they can afford it and we can't.
I was trying to lead you to say the following thing. This is a potential ballot measure on the November
Correct.
ballot that's
Please.
really important for school funding. So we need votes to put it on.
It does
the
not
ballot.
affect residences at all.
Right, it's
Or
only
small
for commercial
businesses under
properties.
$3 million. So please, this is really, really important. This is something that we can actually do to make a change. So please, let's do it.
Sarah Breff, so a clarifying question. I know that in the language of this, you say this will provide funding for all school districts over and above Prop 98 funding. Have we heard, as this is constructed, or do we have to wait for the governor, will this raise the floor of Prop 98, or will this be a one-time continual on top? I think it looks like Chris might have the answer.
Go ahead, Chris.
This will create funding that will be ongoing and every year.
That's why we're saying
It's
$6
annual. It's
million.
an annual increase to. Basically, it covers schools and communities first. In fact, the union and the local union and NCIU across the state has been working on this, collecting signatures for quite a long time. It will be on the ballot.
It's the final push.
It's a final push.
What would be great for us if you guys, because I've been trying to get an answer on this as well, if it raises the floor of Prop 98 and we see a $5 to $6 million infusion, then it's right where our sort of basic aidness exists. But if this is something that goes on top of Prop 98 as a separate funding, then it would be on top of what we receive. So that's what I've been trying to get clarification. So if you hear any clarification on that, please let me know.
I can certainly find
Thanks
out
so
for you,
much.
and
I
I'll let you
appreciate
know.
Thank you. Thank you. Exactly. I was going to say the same thing. Exactly. We support it no matter what. And so we
get more.
Talk about putting that on agenda. Dan Farrell, followed by Eileen, and then Stacy Dalglish.
Hi. So Dan Farrell here to talk about the topic of the day. It's clear to me that it's a fiscal issue, so I'll spare you my emotional appeal. But instead, I'd like to address some of the comments made by the board earlier and just make some suggestions. I'm a parent in Montanito, and my kids are currently in the pre-K program in Webster. So my understanding from my careful reading of everything I've been able to find is that we would be impacted by this, but we're not quite sure. And I think one of the board members mentioned something about social media. Obviously, we have been talking about us on social media, but most of our information is actually coming from the school. So if the board could put out some kind of outreach campaign to the schools, or at least post the proposed changes to your website, that would be really, really helpful. Because right now, all the website says is that there will be changes, and we have not made a decision yet. So if you could have at least the staff recommendations or whatever the proposal is on the website, then we could give you more informed feedback. Along those lines, for us, it was natural for us to send our kids to Webster because that's geographically the closest school, and my wife works at Pepperdine. And so the idea of us driving north just to come back south again, it's a 45-minute drive. So we don't really know what we're going to do. You asked for ideas. We're happy to give ideas. But first we want to know what it is that you're going to be doing. So please just give us some more information. That's it.
Thank you. Eileen, did I botch your last name?
Good evening. My name is Eileen Mickens, and like the gentleman before me, I am a parent of children who attend Malibu schools, and we live in unincorporated Malibu just outside the boundaries. I am the parent of a senior who luckily is not impacted by this. I am also the parent of a freshman. Until Dr. Dradi spoke this evening stating that no changes are being contemplated for existing permit holders, honest to goodness, I was in a panic, and I thought that my 9th grader, who has held an interdistrict permit for 10 years, was about to be ousted. Like many in this room, we lost our home in the fire, and when I just look on your website and the fact that, notwithstanding Dr. Dradi's comments, the link for verification of continuing permit isn't there. The link is removed. There is some information that is being contemplated and studied, and we'll get back to you. but the deadline remains, which is May 31st. So I have until May 31st to continually check every single day and upload or download, I'm not the most tech, sorry, to print out the permit, send it in to you all. I only have until May 31st to do so. It doesn't exist right now. And you are not going to vote on this for 2 more weeks, which I believe is March 4th. Again, my kids are more tech and better at numbers than I, but I think that's what 2 weeks from this day is. But I just want to speak to the emotional piece of this. Being a family that lost her home in the fire, I don't have a single piece of paper that my kids wrote. I don't know what it looked like when they wrote their backwardsies and things like that. That's gone. I don't have any yearbooks. I don't have anything. So we don't really have a past. It's like my kids were born at 13 and 17, and now they're here. And so the only thing they have is their present. And the only stability that they really had was knowing that when, as we called it, firecation ended, they would go back to school and that they would see their classmates. My little one is still best friends with his best friend from Methodist. We've literally gone to school on one single road on Morning View Drive, from there to Malibu Methodist to Cabrillo to now Malibu High. And it will really impact not only myself, but many similarly situated students. My child is on an advanced course. I've already been looking on what would be our home district. They don't offer the functional equivalent of a Calc D. So I don't know how I would afford to look into a private school at the same time that I'm sending a child to college and at the same time that I'm trying to rebuild a house. So you may be just trying to juggle a lot of competing interests, and I respect that, but you've got to recognize the emotional price tag. People are at crisis level when they have to make these decisions. They have very little time to do it, and they have very little money to work with due to things beyond their control. So thank you for your time.
Stacy Dalgleish, Samantha Jones, and then Justin Speaker.
Hi, my name is Stacy Dalgleish, and I am an LA County Mental Health Commissioner. I cover this area. In that capacity, people come to us and tell us about what's happening in their schools with their children and with families. And one of the things that I've heard more than once was that there aren't adequate mental health programs in the school.
I'm so sorry, Stacy. Can you take a little bit step back from the microphone because it's
Oh,
very hard.
sure.
It's very hard.
Absolutely.
We can start the clock again. It's just so hard to hear you.
Oh, that's all right. Do I need to start over?
I don't mind if
Go right ahead. You're an LA County Mental Health Commissioner.
Right. And as I was saying, I hear people who come to tell us that they have problems getting mental health services in the Santa Monica school system. And I understand that you have budget issues, and I think that you've been working with the Department of Mental Health on some programs. But at least the assumption of some folks is that there is a resistance to having these programs on campus related to the stigma that it would attach to it. I certainly hope and I assume that that's not the case. But I did then start to try to find out what was going on in your schools. And I saw that last May you were given a presentation by the city that suggested some solutions, including social workers on each campus. It said that you had then referred it to staff to come back with solutions. And I didn't find that on the website, but I will call the board tomorrow and get a copy of it, and then come back. I just want to encourage you to use the free resources that are available. For example, with NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, that will come onto the campus and provide free programs for students and families, as well as other resources. And I would be very happy to hear from you. Text me at 310-701-9876. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Samantha Jones, and then Justin Speaker, and then Lydia Moraro.
Hello. I'm a veteran and I'm a student at Pepperdine University. My son Tristan, he's on a permit to Malibu Elementary. My daughter Dahlia, she is supposed to be entering kindergarten next year. We're a military family still. My husband is still active duty. We live on Point Magoo Navy Base. My husband is deployed 6 to 9 months out of the year, so I'm the one responsible for taking my kids to school. Sometimes I have to take classes that end at 5:30 in the evening, and if they weren't in this district, I would not have a way to pick them up. Also, military children have to change schools like 9 times, and I don't want to have to move him more than I have to already, so please consider the military children in addition to all the other families that would be affected by this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Justin, are you here? You have 1 minute to speak.
Hi, I'm sorry. I did not prepare a speech for this because I originally came here as a student in Malibu High journalism to take notes and write an article on the repealing of inter-district permitting, but it's become something I'm rather passionate about now because I realize that with the repealing of inter-district permitting comes the loss of many extracurricular programs at our schools and many teachers that go down with the population of our students. Repealing inter-district permitting makes things like journalism, which I'm here to do, impossible. Holy crap, I'm sorry.
You're doing fine. You were fine. Thank you. I think we understood your point. Thank you for coming and speaking. Then I think we have 4 more speakers. Lydia Moraro, Dr. Berenice Onofre, Ilda Jacobson, and Jennifer Gonzalez.
Brought some visual aid today, or as I like to call it, Dr. Draddy's new office decor. We have a problem in the music building in Summer High. There's a huge hole in the wall. Here it is. On September 3rd, I wrote to Dr. Shelton, Carrie Upton, Gail Pinsker. We have this problem, hole in the wall. Dr. Shelton submitted a work order. On September 4th, Gail Pinsker said, our maintenance team has a really great response rate and their completion of projects in a timely manner has greatly improved. So on the 21st, a team came, poked a bigger hole in the wall, and covered it with some black plastic. I wrote numerous emails to everyone. Carrie Upton clarified on September 22nd, I think, that he wants to make it clear that he is going to be able to patch the wall and the flooring. So I waited and wrote and sent pictures, and nothing happened. Nothing. And in January, I followed up. Hey, what's happening? So then Carrie Upton said, Lydia, we're well aware of this issue and the similar problem in the choir room. And at this time, there is not maintenance funding to do the needed investigation and repair. We are working to wrap this into a facility improvement project in the near future. So I took pictures of the bedroom as it is now. because the plastic is falling off. So everybody is now breathing in a little insulation. Please don't let your teachers work in this environment. There are over 1,000 children that go to the music building and 300 of them in the band room that take deep breaths to blow in wind instruments. Please, fix this. This is neither safe nor modern, but you're letting it happen. 6 months just to hear, oh, we don't have the money to fix a hole in the wall. Deplorable. Fix it.
We have a meeting next week. Dr. Onofre, Hilda Jacobson, and then Jennifer Gonzalez. Thank you, Leah.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Berenice Onofre, longtime Santa Monica resident. I am here to ask the board to reconsider and putting back to the criteria the following. Grandchildren of Santa Monica and Malibu residents. The grandparents who live in these two cities, most of them have lived most of their life here in the district, and they have contributed with taxes. The other item that I would like to add, to return back to the criteria, is the alumni of the students of this district. We owe it to them. Because of the achievement gap, most of them have moved miles away. And the children, if they wish, should go to schools here in Santa Monica. The other group that we need to add is the children of individuals working within the district. We heard the lady, the couple who work in Malibu, from 7 o'clock, I think, until 6 p.m. If they leave the children where they live, most likely in Southgate, South LA, wherever, it will be dangerous for them to stay there. I hope you reconsider putting this criteria to the policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Ilda?
Hi, I'm Ilda Jacobson, and I have a second grader and a fourth grader at Webster Elementary. And I'm also from Montanito, which is about 6 miles from Webster. My kids have been in Malibu schools since preschool. I think my daughter's favorite teacher is still Craig's wife from Malibu Pres. But, you know, I didn't have anything as dramatic prepared as everybody else. And a reason is that, you know, in Montanito, and, you know, we have so many representatives of Montanito here, which is not close, and I'm really happy that our community has stood up here. But you know, me personally, I do kind of feel powerless in this situation with the permits, and it's a terrible way to feel. And I feel that, you know, the Montanito families have done their utmost over the years, kind of knowing that we're permitted families, to contribute beyond finances, beyond money. You know, we do raise over thousands and thousands of dollars to the PTA. We have, I think, 3 room moms. We have a dad who ran the talent show. So, you know, we contribute hundreds and hundreds of classroom volunteer hours just to kind of, you know, make sure that we continue to make the school and our community that's welcomed us and allowed us to be there the greatest school we possibly can. And so I just hope that we get creative about the way that we could possibly keep our students in the Santa Monica schools. I mean, I think Nathan had some great ideas, and I think that, you know, maybe the centralized funding that's coming through can solve for this, but I do feel that there's a way that we can fund these students to stay in the district. So thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. And our final speaker is Jennifer Gonzalez.
Thank you for your patience. I wear many hats in the Malibu community. I've been a teacher at Malibu High School since 1995. That's the second year it was open. That's 25 years. I'm also a parent of a student who graduated from Malibu High and attended schools from kindergarten all the way through. She's now at NYU thanks to her great education she received from Santa Monica schools. I'm also a member of the community. I just happen to live 200 yards on the wrong side of Latigo Canyon. And for that reason, my child is a permit child. And finally, I lost my home in the Woolsey fire. And you have heard from everybody tonight about all of those existing conditions and how difficult it is made for life in Malibu. What I'm here to tell you is that if you freeze permits, you will destroy the heart of that community. The numbers are there and you know what will happen. It is a death warrant. We can barely run the programs we have, and we all hustle and bring kids in and let them do 2 and 3 sports. It's a magical place. Those students you heard speak tonight, they had 2 days to put this together. And they spoke with love and care about a place that has nurtured them. Malibu High School is a special place, as is Santa Monica. They each have their own gifts. They each offer things to their communities. And if you cut permits at Malibu High School, it will have a very different impact on our school than it does at Santa Monica. We simply cannot run a softball team with 5 kids. We cannot have dramatic productions when 6 kids try out. We're getting by now with our 600 kids, and we're doing an excellent job. So we all in this community beg you to include us and help us figure out how to make this happen without cutting those permit kids. The families that work in our communities deserve it. Our community as a whole deserves it. Our kids deserve it for the diversity, for the richness that all those permit kids provide. It's a special place. My students call me Gonzo. I know every single one of these kids that showed up today. That's the kind of school it is. Please don't vote to kill it, because if you take permits away, that's what you're going to do.
Mr. President, that concludes our
That
speakers.
concludes speakers. Okay, so I'm just gonna, folks, if you want to leave, feel free to leave quietly. If you want to stick around, we're going to be wrapping up. I want to say one quick thing. Board Member Foster said something that was really, I think, apropos. He says many things, but it was the fact that we have to do our business in public. And we first had a discussion about this in public on December 12th. We had planned on having a discussion in public tonight, and unfortunately, Dr. Kelly is unable to be with us tonight. This is part of a clumsy democratic process that we conduct out in public. And you guys coming here is really wonderful. We've always said it's sorry to get Malibu families to come out here to give a public comment. We appreciate that. We appreciate the information you give us. That is how we get this feedback. So thank you for being part of that process. I want to speak to the people that suffered. I know, look, I know that there's a feeling in the communities that we are 2 separate communities, and you exist there and we exist here. I want to speak to the people that went through the Woolsey fire, because I want to tell you that we went through that with you. Not physically, but we wept for your families, we wept for your losses, as a school board and as a community. And I want you to know that these things will be taken into account once we have these discussions. And the discussions we have will be thoughtful and in-depth and incorporating everything that you said. So please, I don't want you to feel like something has been cooked and pushed past you. That is not what we are doing here. We're trying to make the sausage. And we're trying to make this district be the magical place for all of our students that we want it to be. So thank you all for coming out tonight. For whatever topic that you spoke of. I mean, it's like, I'd love to meet Mr. Munn and thank him for the great work he's done with those kids. What a testament. I think our kids I think all the students that came tonight really, really tell us that the work we're doing can be transformative to many of them. Board member items. Anyone? Yeah. We're visual learners. Anybody for any of our DACs here to speak? Oh, do you have a board member item? Or do you want to go to comments?
Just comments.
Board member comments.
Yeah. No. Just want to let you know, we had. I was part of the VAPA meeting last night. Had a great conversation, and part of it, there's a lot of questions being asked regarding availability of summer school before and after, AM classes and so forth for some of our middle school students to high school students who would want to take, the arts, but also part of Abbott, are also part of other, Project Give the Way. We have so many, programs in the high school at Samo High that issues were brought up. Thank you to Dr. Moore that was there, who I think took some good notes. And so just want to let you know that we were there, and hopefully some of those issues will get resolved in the next coming year as we plan, programming and everything for next year. One of the things that was brought up was the fact of, potentially, I know that we only offer so many summer school programs, at Samo High, and hopefully more information is given out for summer school at SMC, so that more of our students can take advantage of it, which is free, versus some of the other programs that are very expensive. So anyway, we had a good meeting last night and good information that was relayed to me and to Dr. Mora, and we just want to make sure that we move forward with it within our committee and internally, so that we can resolve some of it for next year.
Sir? As I think back on the night, one of the things that I think is great is the number of kids that we had come out tonight. Malibu, ASB, 3/4 of them were here tonight, one form or another. The kids standing up for the wrestling coach Mon at Samo High. We had amazing, eloquent kids demonstrating the education that they've gotten and their ability to use that in a real world context. So I think that's a real highlight for me of the evening, whatever the circumstances that brings that out. So thank you guys, and thanks to the teachers who helped them get there.
Agree. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to reiterate what Craig said. I mean, all the kids that came out tonight from Malibu High School, they're all like my classmates and my friends, and it just really shows like how passionate we are about our own community, and like how much love we have for all of the students in our classes and all the population of Malibu High School, especially our permit kids. This is like a very important issue to each and every one of us, and I think we really showed that today. So thank you to everyone coming out.
Lori? I would echo everything that everyone said. The one thing I want to add is that while it is true, John, that we try to, and we do our business in public, I think one thing I was struck by is somebody said something about the confusion from what's on the website, which actually I haven't looked at. But what it made me think about is we are used to sitting here looking at this weird board agenda, and we understand what it's supposed to mean and what these weird letters and numbering of policies and whatever, we know what they mean. But I think that I think we've got to figure out a way, even though it's true that people rarely come out in public until it feels like the hammer is going down. That's a problem in and of itself, but a problem, and we can't resolve that completely. One thing we can, I think, work on addressing is communicating in a way when there is an item that we think will be of substantial public interest. We've got to find a way outside of just assuming that the board agenda announces that somehow to people, or that when the newspaper gets around to covering it, it might be the day before, or even if it's the week before, it's a one-time coverage. So I think we need to just do some thinking about how we can address those kinds of things, and I think that was really apparent in tonight. So I have to say, yes, it was difficult hearing some of these things, and no, I know that we aren't doing things for some of the reasons that people have maybe attributed to us, but it was a great lesson in you see things through different lenses. And so we understand why we're looking at what we're looking at, but that's not clear to somebody whose kid is entering kindergarten in Malibu schools and who doesn't do what we do all day long. I thought it was really an educational night, and one that we need to, not just in terms of what we do on the merits of any of these topics, but have some learnings from in terms of doing better. And so the other thing what I actually really was going to comment on has nothing to do with any of this. I attended a what I think goes by the name of project-based learning. I don't know what to call it, exhibition from a class at Lincoln, where the kids did a human rights project, each of them. And some of them were group and some of them were individual. And so I don't know what day of the week it was, they didn't all do presentations. They all had an open classroom where you could come look at their work. They would stand by their work perhaps, or it spoke for itself, and there were different forms that the work took. But it was, obviously it's an incredibly rich topic that they had to work with too, international human rights. So there were topics from sex trafficking to the right to go to college, to the right to housing, to the right to not be discriminated. I mean, the range is amazing, but it was, to actually tie back to the students who came tonight, it was really a great example of just a teacher in a classroom who took a topic, and she doesn't have to be in the PPBL or anywhere else. She just took a topic in her English class, I think it's an English class, and responded to kids, students' different interests, and they had a way to learn what we call 21st century skills by working together and looking at different ways of presenting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I won't belabor that, but it was really nice to see. I think it's a reminder that we have a lot going on in our schools, a lot of wonderful people trying to make a difference, making a difference, doing things in old ways and new ways, and trying to engage students. And so it was really, I wanted to just share that and say that we should know more about when these things happen so that we can go to them. And I just happened to stumble onto this and then go. So thank you.
Ralph? You remind me, Lori, well, on both those items, but on this last one, the actual PPBL, they had a science fair sort of presentation of projects, and I ran to Dr. Dry there. We went around, and anyway, all the students were looking at things that will be important when people go to Mars, the space program. So they were studying that, and some of it was on radiation, some of it on making food, and where are they going to live. And it was really a lot of fun to hear them do the same thing, or, just to do that. And then when I went to the city, Santa Monica's State of the City last week, which, is this sort of pat on the back, but where things are, but the guest speaker was this really wonderful guy. I can't remember his name, but I know his
Nick Ebeling.
But the group, he's in the entertainment business and film, but he started a group called Not Impossible. We should all go look at it, where they try to figure out how to solve serious problems that, like making prosthetics for $100 as opposed to $10,000 or $100,000, and being successful in doing all this. And it really, seeing what what he was doing, it really reminded me that our kids, in doing these project-based learning type projects in all our schools, are doing the same kind of things, trying to invent solutions to problems in very creative ways, which is wonderful. But going back to this other issue, when I first see the agenda when I'm told, I get an email saying it's online, please go look at it. These are the things you're going to be talking about next week. And so a lot of these items I'm seeing for the first time. And I have to agree that the descriptions, when these things were handwritten, people had to, Sarah will remember, had to turn them in, and there were a couple of paragraphs, and you could sit and they were thoughtfully done. And now that we're moving towards filling in the blanks in forms a lot of times, we have a new format, and there is no description. So I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at, the proposed policy changes with the scratch outs and all this, and I'm going, what's going on here? Is this what we really talked? And I was at there, other people are looking at, they wouldn't even know, is this what we really talked about? Why is this in here and this in here? And I had to call, Dr. Kelly and talk about it for a bit, even for me to understand what it is that was being presented in a certain way. We need to, when somebody opens up the agenda, and clicks on the space and here's the the new space on the right, if we can, is put an explanation in there, however long it needs to be, to really be clear so that people understand why it's there, what it's doing there, it's the first time, so that there isn't this reaction that, oh my gosh, we're going to be changing the world, when what we really want to do is have a discussion, and we want people to come in and be part of that discussion so that we can make, other good decisions for our communities and our schools. So I think that's the way. It's not, unless we're going to email everybody, we can do it through the PTAs or the principal has it, or it seems to me it should be at the schools, but if we, at the agenda itself, are really clear about what the item is and why it's there, for what purpose, hopefully it could take, care of a lot of this jumping to conclusions.
We talk about that, but you're right, that idea of like, why is there, what is our goal, what is our intention? Maybe we put that down. Are you stretching, or do you have a comment?
No, I have a comment. I definitely agree with that. I feel like I myself don't have like adequate access to some of the information and the topics that we talk about at this meeting. Like, I only found out about the permit issue yesterday at lunch. All the students that we saw come here today, like myself, all of ASB, and a few teachers had to round up by word of mouth. I feel like there just wasn't enough time, and this is such like a grave issue, as you saw from all the comments that we've given. My second point is back to what you said earlier about the summer programs at SMC, I believe. I would definitely like to learn more about that, because right now I'm trying to grapple for summer course at UCLA, and I feel like I don't have adequate access to certain summer programs or certain classes that I would be interested in, and I would really like to see the schools taking a role in encouraging students to go and get these classes and making the whole process way easier, because I've just had to guide myself through it, and it would be so beneficial to me and so many other kids that I know. So.
Yeah. Wearing my SMC hat, yes, we're trying to do that.
All right, so we're gonna adjourn this meeting. Before we adjourn, I want to, Karen Lee brought up the fact, I guess she didn't see the meeting 2 weeks ago when we adjourned in memory of Phil Cott. And it's like, she can go on Facebook. I think Craig posted something on Facebook that was lovely, if Karen is going to listen to this. Anyway. But tonight we will be adjourning the meeting in memory of Yolanda Sanchez, who is an SMMUSD retiree who passed away on Saturday. And Yoli was hired in 1999 as administrative assistant in the special education department. In 2006, she transferred to Grant Elementary School, where she supported the school's administrative team for 7 years. She then transferred to Muir Elementary School and supported that school until her retirement in 2020. Yoli's co-workers remember her as caring very deeply for the well-being of the students, staff, and the district as a whole, and she held herself and others to a high standard to do what was right. She was compassionate, considerate, and handled stressful situations calmly and with humor. She was generous with her time, helping out wherever and whenever she was needed. In an email, Yoli's son described her as a dedicated mother and wife, wonderful cook, loving sister, and a vibrant personality who was always smiling, laughing, and dancing. Her presence was unmatched and will be remembered forever. Yoli is survived by her husband, daughter, and 2 sons. She will be remembered by all of her family members, friends, and co-workers for all of the positivity she brought to the world. So if we could have a moment of silence for Ms. Sanchez. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.